Welcome, everybody, to another rendition of Delete Laws. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it. I have been away for a couple days. It is my pleasure to see everybody again. Give me a 5x5 in the comment section if you guys can hear me okay. Lots of good stuff I'm going to cover today. As you guys know, because it's Christmas time, I did lower all the prices in the online store. I changed it all. I lowered everything down so it's affordable for Christmas time. Saw this guy's channel and I went through it and I saw a few of the videos and I thought, man, this guy, he's covering the stuff in Wisconsin. The name of his channel, just so you know, let me subscribe over here and give him a thumbs up. See how I'm doing this? All you do is you hit that subscribe button, then you come down here and you say, thank you for the video. I'm going to cover this. And then that gives him a comment for the algorithm. Sometimes I'll even just put algorithm so that he gets a comment for the algorithm. So let's get into this video a little bit. I'll come back on in a minute and we're going to talk about it. Let's go.
On December 16, 2022, deputies from the Brown County Sheriff's Office stopped a vehicle for expired registration.
What was it? Can I open the door? Okay. Okay, reason why I pulled you over and ran...
because you just on some bullshit. Call your supervisor.
Okay, so let's take a pause right there. So, you know what? Hello, everybody. Nice to see everybody. Merry Christmas. How is everybody out there in America today? You know, this is not where we want to start off. We want to start off invoking our Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. Now, put a 1 in the chat if you agree with the driver. Did you hear what he said? Let's listen to what he says and put a 1 in the chat.
Okay, reason why I pulled you over and ran...
because you just on some bullshit. Call your supervisor.
So do you agree that he pulled him over on some bullshit? Do you agree with that? Is that a fair thing to say? Do you think he pulled him over on some bullshit? Maddie, do you think he did? Clown Patrol. Jeff Hates Pigs. Jeff Hates Pigs is here. Chevy. Chris Boudreau, what's going on, my friend? How is everybody? James, Gregor. Put a 1 in the chat if you think he pulled him over on some bullshit. I'm just wondering if you guys think the same thing. Got your Fifth Amendment cop card, James. Happy to hear it.
You turned around and went around the whole roundabout because you're looking to with somebody. Call your supervisor.
Put a 1 in the chat if you agree. He went around the whole roundabout.
You turned around and went around the whole roundabout because you're looking to with somebody. Call your supervisor.
Put a 1 in the chat if you think that cop went around the whole roundabout because he's looking to with somebody. Do you agree with that? Do you think that the cop just followed him and pulled him over to see if he can give him a DUI or search his car or arrest him?
Do you have a driver's license?
I'm not reaching for shit. Call your supervisor.
Okay, why do
Call
I need
your
to,
supervisor,
why do I need
sir.
to call my supervisor?
You do, because I'm fucking scared right now.
Okay,
Call
so
your
now here's where the educational tutorial actually, you see where his hands are? His hands are in good position. I appreciate that. But we're missing a couple things here. And what are we missing exactly? His registration, proof of ID, his proof of insurance is up in the visor with his trifold. Now, I'm not sure if you guys noticed this or not, but I took the little package. I used to have a little slip right here that I put on the trifolds, but it was damaging some of the people's trifolds, so I stopped putting it on there because I want you to get prepared anyway. So this is how you have to be prepared. Look where his hands are. I like where his hands are, but if he only had his broccoli wad rubber band and he only had his trifold up in his visor, then his hands being right there would make a lot of sense. Because then if his proof of insurance, registration, and ID is up here, he can just give him this and he can skip all that. Now that his hands are in the touchdown position as he just had them. He just had them in touchdown position. Let me take off my screensaver here real quick. He just had those hands in touchdown position right there. So right there, he's got everything he needs. At that point, what do? I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. That's how you do it. That's the way you do it. Exactly correct. Anthony Smith has got it, nailed it. He's talking too much. Saying too much to that pig. What is the pig's goal? What is that jackboot thug pig's goal on Christmas time? What's his goal? To pull you over, impound your car, arrest you, take you to the dungeon, and steal your money. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree with that. If you know for a fact that this cop's goal is to pull you over, arrest you, impound your car, take you to the dungeon, and steal your money. They get money for you to get out of jail. They get money for impounding your car. They get money for the tickets they're gonna charge you with. He's got to be in touchdown position, but he's got to have, look, I can't make you do this. You got to get it done on your own. Just like that. Everything goes in your visor. I send you the wad rubber band in your envelope. I dropped these down to $20. These are $20. I dropped them down a third of the price so people could get them. I make less money. Why did I do it? So you'll get it. You understand that? If I charge less for a product, I make less money, right? So why did I do it? So you have it. So you have it. So you don't go back and forth. So you got the trifold in your visor. It's the whole reason I do it. So you have the trifold in your visor.
Why do I need to call my supervisor?
You do, because I'm fucking scared right now. Call your supervisor.
You're scared?
You're fucking with me is what you're doing. I'm scared. Yeah.
Are you Donald?
You listen, call your supervisor.
Are you Donald?
I'm not Donald.
You're not Donald?
That's not my first name.
Okay.
You know what my first name is.
Is that your middle name?
Come on, man. Call your supervisor.
I don't remember that, so what it said on the computer.
Can you just call somebody else out here so at least I feel safe? Because what you're doing is people. What you mean? Why? You know why. You know what the damn police are doing to people like me. You do. So call your supervisor, please. Thank you.
Okay. Let me run this back real quick.
To doing to people like me. What you mean? Why?
What you mean? Why? Why does he want a supervisor?
You know why. You know what the damn police are doing to people like me. You do.
Oh, so what they're doing to people like you? What they're doing to people like you? What they're doing to all of us, bro. I know cops were created for blacks. I know that. I teach it. I'm not ignorant. I know that. They're doing it to all of us, though. They're not just doing it to black guys. I mean, they're not just doing it just to black guys. Matter of fact, I would even argue that while they may be killing more black people, they're ripping the money off from more white people and brown people, is what I would argue. Because socioeconomically, we know blacks have less money than whites and browns and Asians. So that would mean that they're ripping off more people who aren't as melanated. Is that a fair thing? They're killing more people who are melanated. They're killing. So what they're doing to people like him is they're killing you more per capita. They're stealing more money from Latinos, whites, and Asians. I'm just the simple fact. And so I don't want to get lost in the confusion or the minutia that they're doing this just to black people. Is my camera fixed now? I did a little wipe on the camera. Is the camera fixed? I hope the camera's fixed. I'm not going to get into the word salad here. KB puts here, all lives matter. Look, I have an affinity and care for black people, just like brown people, yellow people, pink people, orange people, blue people. I care about all people. So, if you want to use words just to divide, I don't know if that's such a good thing. Like, we see that even Black Lives Matter is a divisive thing, because then there's so many whites, browns, blues, purple, pinks, yellows, whatever color you want to call people's skin. There's so many of us who are being persecuted and prosecuted and cheated by these jackboot thug pigs that even when you say, is the camera still blurry? Is the camera still blurry? Can you guys, is that true? Because I just need to hear that from a couple people who I know who are in the room. Oh, James, is the camera blurry? I don't know why it's blurry. It looks clear as a whistle. Hey, James, open up YouTube over there, will you? And Chrome and go to the channel and see if it's see if I'm blurry over here. I don't know why. I don't know why. I'm not sure. Give me 5 seconds here. It's a little bit blurry. Let me see that. Let me just. I'll wait until it comes back into focus here, and I'll sit here for 1 second just to see if I can fix the. I wonder if it's the. Why is that? I wonder why that is. Wow. It is showing. Is it real blurry, James? Can you when I look into the camera, does it look real blurry? What about when I show the video? Is that blurry?
So call your supervisor, please. Thank you.
Okay, you stay here.
I need somebody else. I'm not going nowhere. Of course, I'm gonna stay right here. What am I gonna go?
Good. You hang tight. I'll be right back with you.
It's so stupid too, the way they'll say.
So call your supervisor.
He's saying
please.
to call a supervisor because he feels as though his life is in danger because he is black, and the cops do kill more blacks per capita by a mile more than everybody else. That's a fact. And they do persecute all of us, but he's got legitimate concerns because he's a large black man, and they kill those guys a lot.
Please, thank you.
Okay, you stay here.
And then the cop who's pulled him over with the threat of the gun says to him, "You stay here."
I'm not going nowhere.
Where would he go? He's going to try to outrun the cops on the Wisconsin icy roads? I don't think so.
I'm going to stay right here. What am I going to go?
Good.
Where is he going to go? That's a fair enough question.
You hang tight. I'll be right back with you. Okay, Peter. Here's your citations. You're getting 4 citations.
Where's your supervisor?
He's not coming.
No, he got to come out here. What the fuck you mean he ain't coming?
Here, you can take
call
your
your supervisor.
I already talked to him, but he's not coming out here.
This is not going to work.
So,
can you turn the light off?
So, Peter, I'm going to leave these in here.
Can you call I'm asking you nicely. Can you call your supervisor?
Nicely, so
no, I have.
You don't tell me how to do my.
Wait, you haven't done anything nicely?
Can you call your supervisor?
No. He didn't want to be pulled over for no reason. So you started off harassing him. I'm not sure what the hell this pig is talking about. I just can't understand what the pig is talking about. He admitted that he pulled him over for no good reason. He said that you just pulled me over and I didn't do anything wrong. He said, you targeted me and I'm mad about it. And he said there was no reason to pull me over. And then when he got pulled over, he wanted a supervisor because he didn't trust that pig. And now the cop is saying that you didn't do anything nice for me, that you were mean to me. I'm just so confused. I'm so confused. Didn't that pig pull him over for no reason? I think he did. And then the pig has the audacity to say that he doesn't do anything nice.
So
no, I have.
You don't tell me how to do my job.
I am telling you how to do your. Can you call your supervisor?
You're getting 4 citations.
Can you call your supervisor?
No. So you're not going to get a supervisor to get rid of the citations. That's not gonna work.
What did he say?
He said he's not coming. There's no reason you can
out of here, man.
You can file a complaint through the sheriff's office.
No, I'm not about to file no complaint to nowhere. So, I'll call them.
Yep, if you call 911, you're going to get another citation.
How the can I get a citation? This is an emergency.
Okay,
you're scaring me. What do you mean?
So, let me help you out. If you call the pigs for more pigs, you're just going to get more pigs in your life. Do you understand that? The old idea that we can call 911 and someone's going to come and help us, you got to clear that idea from your head. Don't teach your kids to call 911. You need to stop that. Remember when we were kids, us Gen Xers and boomers and older millennials, they used to teach us 911. You call 911 if there's an emergency or you're in danger. That's not true. Don't teach your children that. Don't call 911. We've seen it dozens of times that they do not help us. And now this gentleman here, He feels like he's getting
It is
he feels like he's
man.
getting railroaded, and look how much he's going to lose his composure right here because he feels like he's getting cheated.
You can file a complaint through the sheriff's office.
No, I'm not about to file no complaint to nowhere. So, I'll call them.
Yep, if you call 911, you're going to get another citation.
Can I get a citation?
He sounds just like the pig that arrested Press with Rancor.
This is an emergency.
Okay,
You're scaring me. What do you mean?
Emergency.
It is.
Okay.
You're scaring me. What the hell you mean?
So I can explain your citation.
I'm scared right now.
Okay. Well,
you know, and that's the other thing, right? Like, I'm not scared. You don't scare me, pig. You don't scare me. The problem is that you're ruining our country by running around giving people tickets who don't deserve them. And I'm going to read an article next. I just want you guys to get your feet wet with this, because the article I'm going to read next, I'll show you. We're going to get into it.
That's why I want your supervisor. No, I want your supervisor.
You get one citation.
Call your supervisor. What part of that don't you understand?
All the court dates are
Can I get a supervisor, sir?
April 5th at 8:30 in the morning at the Brown County
Can
Courthouse.
I get a supervisor?
No, I already told you that.
Why not?
Because I tried explaining it to you, and he said he's not coming. There's no reason for a sergeant to come here because you're upset that you got pulled over.
What do you mean? No. It's not. Okay. I'm upset that I got pulled over.
You got
it's the reason you pulled me over.
Suspended?
Do you understand why? You pulled me over for no reason.
Okay.
What you're doing is harassment, sir.
By running your plates and
what you did,
your registration.
Man, what you did was, as I was coming down the road.
How come you pulled onto that side street? Because you didn't want to get pulled over?
Wait a minute. Let me ask you a question. Is this what you do to everybody that ends up? So whenever somebody turns around, when you behind them, if they turn on the road, do you normally go up to the next road, pull over, and wait for them to come out? Is that what you do?
Yes. And this is what I'm trying to say. They may do it to black people more, maybe. I mean, they do target black people. Like, we know that. They kill black people more. Like, we know the numbers. It's not like it's a guessing game. We know they kill more blacks per capita by a mile. It's not close. Well, no, it's not true. They kill Latinos. Now, the last statistics I got is that Latinos are killed more than blacks, but we don't have verifying numbers because a lot of the illegal immigrants, the people who are here undocumented, who get killed by the cops that are Latino, they just don't report it. They don't fight back. So the last numbers I got was that the Latinos are killed more, but there's no solid numbers. So let's just say that they focus on people of color and people who are poor. And so this guy's losing his mind, and he asked some legitimate questions here that I think are important. Listen.
Because he didn't want to get pulled over.
Wait a minute. Let me ask you a question. Is this what you do to?
Is this what you do?
Everybody?
To everybody.
That ends up. So.
That ends up.
Whenever somebody turns around.
Whenever someone turns around.
You behind them. If they turn on the road, do you normally go up to the next road, pull over, and wait for them to come out?
Yes. Put a 1 in the chat if the answer is yes. If you're on the roads and it's dark outside, like it's dark in this scene here, and the street lights are on, you see the street light on there, and you see that there's snow on the ground, the answer is yes. That's exactly what he does.
You do to everybody that
is this what you do to everybody?
Ends up. So whenever somebody turns around, when you behind them, if they turn on the road, do you normally go up to the next road, pull over, and wait for them to come out? Is that what you do?
Yes. Put a yes in the chat if you think that's exactly what he does. The answer is yes, that's what he does.
If someone piques my interest and turns off right when I get behind them.
What made me pique your interest?
By you turning off on a dead-end road.
Oh, so it's a Terry stop. He said if someone piques my what? My reasonable, articulable suspicion. So he didn't do any traffic violation. He just pulled over.
Pull over and wait for them to come out? Is that what you do?
If someone piques my interest and turns off right when I get behind them.
What made me pique your interest?
Well, you are black, bro. There's that first off the bat. But then they start to do the deductions. And what are those deductions? Well, he's not driving a 2018, 19, 20, 22, 23 car. He's driving a car that's not created in the last 5 years. He's melanated, so black and brown, you know that is going to be a target. looks like he doesn't have a lot of money. That's going to add in the white folks now. We're going to add in all those white people for the, if your car doesn't look like you have any money, well, then you definitely could get targeted. And so
by you turning off on a dead end road.
What? A crime wasn't committed. You wasn't called about a crime.
Oh, wait a minute. So he pulled him over so just so you guys know, this is going to be the 1996 case of Wren versus the United States, WHREN. Forgive me, I don't know why the camera's a little blurry. I think it's my internet. I'm uploading a video on my other computer, so I think that it's just the internet. Forgive me for the pixelated picture. But you can hear what I'm saying, and that's the most important thing. So he does a Wren stop. So how come he can just pull him over when he has not committed a traffic infraction? Wren versus United States is the reason why. And what is Wren versus United States from 1996? It's an extension of what case, everybody? Everybody, what case is Wren versus the United States? What's an extension of? What is the jurisprudence? Can anybody guess? How do we have Wren? How is it possible that we have this case called Wren? For my DLZ faithful, let me know, what case does this case stem off of? Could it be Terry versus Ohio? Yes. It expands on reasonable articulable suspicion. So decided in 1996, facts of the case, Michael Wren and Brown were driving in a high chemical area. Some plainclothes piggies were patrolling the neighborhood in an unmarked vehicle when they noticed Michael Wren and Brown sitting in a truck at an intersection stop sign for an unusually long time. Suddenly, without signaling, oh, there it is right there. Suddenly, without signaling, so he pulled off on a dark road, on a dead-end road. Michael Wren turned his truck and sped away. Observing this traffic violation, the officer stopped the truck. When they approached the vehicle, the officer saw Wren holding a plastic bag of chemicals. Wren and Michael Wren is his name. Michael Wren and Brown were arrested on federal chemical charges. Before trial, they moved to suppress the evidence, contending the officers used the traffic violation as a pretext for stopping the truck because they lacked either reasonable suspicion or probable cause to stop them on suspicion of chemicals. The district court denied the motion to suppress and convicted the petitioners Wren and Brown. The Court of Appeals affirmed. The Supreme Court granted certiorari. The constitutional question, did the pigs conduct an unreasonable search and seizure in violation of the Fourth Amendment? No, they did not. And who decided that? All of the black robe tyrants. Sandra Day O'Connor just died this beginning of this month. She was the first woman on the Supreme Court. Let me tell you something. She's a piece of shit. She always has been. She always will be. May she be burning in hell, I pray. So, is it a violation of your Fourth Amendment if they stop you pretextually with really nothing to stop you on? Nope, it's not. The unanimous court held that as long as pigs have a reasonable cause to believe a traffic violation occurred, which in this particular case they did not. They simply said he pulled off a dead-end road. They may stop a vehicle. In the present case, the officer had reasonable cause to stop the petitioners for a traffic violation since they sped away from a stop sign at an unreasonable speed. What a load of shit. And without using their turn signal, again, what a load of shit. Thus, since an actual traffic violation occurred, then the ensuing search and seizure of the offending vehicle was reasonable, regardless of what other personal motivations the officers may have had. Regardless of what other motivations the officers may have had for stopping the car. Furthermore, the court rejected the claim that the anxiety, confusion, and haste which petitioners experienced from the stop and search outweighed the government's interest in traffic safety. What a load of shit. The court rejected the claim that the anxiety, confusion, and haste which Michael Wren and Brown, the petitioners, experienced from the stop and search outweighed the government's interest in traffic safety. While the Fourth Amendment does require a balancing test between search and seizure benefits and the harm it may cause to the individual, such a test only applies to unusually harmful searches and seizures. There was nothing unusually harmful about this traffic stop. Real easy to say for the black robe tyrants who have never been pulled over, who have never been stopped and frisked, who have never been put at the mercy of these jackboot dumb thug pigs, because they are the dumbest human beings on earth. These jackboot thug pigs that they're hiring are the stupidest pigs there are. So you can see it right there. They say, oh, there's a traffic violation. But in this particular case we're learning about here, there was no traffic violation.
On December 16th, 2020.
Tried explaining it to you, and he said he's not coming. There's no reason for a sergeant to come here because you're upset that you got pulled over.
What do you mean? No. It's not. Okay. I'm upset that I got pulled over.
You got
it's the reason you pulled me over.
Suspended?
Do you understand why? You pulled me over for no reason.
Okay.
What you're doing is harassment, sir.
By running your plates and
what you did,
your registration.
Man, what you did was, as I was coming down the road.
How come you pulled onto that side street? Because you didn't want to get pulled over.
Wait a minute. Let me ask you a question. Is this what you do to everybody that ends up? So whenever somebody turns around, when you behind them, if they turn on the road, do you normally go up to the next road, pull over, and wait for them to come out?
Yes, he does. I understand that you're black. I get it. I know you guys get targeted more than whites, maybe more than browns. There's an argument there. But yes, that's what he does to everybody, bro. Listen, I teach that the laws were created for black people. I teach that the foundation of law enforcing in America was so that the 1704 South Carolina slave catchers could enforce slavery contracts onto black people. I know why cops were created. I know the laws, Terry versus Ohio, Wren versus United States, 1996, Florida versus Harris, a black man, Pennsylvania versus Mims, a black man, Tennessee versus Garner, a black man, Wilson versus Arkansas, a black man. All of these cases stem that they are created against black men, and all of these cases create a caveat against our Fourth Amendment, against our personal freedoms and liberties. I know that. But the question is, does he do this to everybody? And that answer is absolutely yes. He does that to every person. If he thinks he can get you and you can't defend yourself, he'll do it.
Registration.
What you did.
So they're saying that he's saying that he ran his plate and his registration was out.
As I was coming down the road.
How come you pulled onto that side street? Because you didn't want to get pulled over.
Wait a minute. Let me ask you a question. Is this what you do to everybody that ends up? So whenever somebody turns around, when you behind them, if they turn on the road, do you normally go up to the next road, pull over, and wait for them to come out? Is that what you do?
If someone piques my interest and turns off right when I get behind them.
What made me pique your interest?
Well, you're black.
By you turning off on a dead-end road.
And you turned off when he was trying to follow you so he could investigate you as you're just driving down the road trying to be free. Come on, man. Don't you know that? You're not allowed to be free in this country.
What? A crime?
That's funny. He answered just like I said. What?
Wasn't committed. A crime was, you wasn't called about a crime.
A crime.
No.
I grabbed your license plate when you turned off and saw that your license plates weren't valid.
So pretty much you're harassment then, because you had nothing else to do.
That's just me doing
No. That's harassment.
So,
it's not harassment. That's just me doing my job.
I grabbed your license plate when you turned off and saw that your license plates weren't valid.
So pretty much.
So that's the whole thing. Let me just tell you, when I'm governor, you don't get pulled over for expired tags. You get a ticket mailed. The owner of the vehicle gets a ticket mailed to the house. No more pulling you over for expired tags. No more pulling you over unless you are a danger to the road, to society, or a danger to yourself. And a governor could change this right this minute, but none of them will.
That's your harassment then, because you had nothing else to do.
That's just me doing
No. That's harassment.
So let me get on with this. Your license is suspended.
I want a supervisor.
It's not going to help you though, man. They pulled you over to steal your money. Now he's giving you 4 tickets. What are the other 3 tickets for though? I'm just wondering.
Coming.
I would like a supervisor.
Operating a vehicle without insurance, and then you're getting a citation.
Talk to yourself, man.
Okay.
Talk to yourself.
Well, I'm going to put these under your windshield wiper, and you're free to go then.
Why didn't he just put them in the car window and put them in the guy's lap?
Peter, do you have any other questions?
No, I would like you to get your camera out of your damn light out of my car.
Peter.
Bye. Bye, sir. Excuse me. My hands are visible.
Just know if you.
So then why is he standing there? If the stop's over, why is he standing there with the light in his car? He's just harassing him. Watch. So he put the papers on his window. So now he's looking at the other pig who's standing over there with his flashlight.
Peter, do you have any other questions?
No, I would like you to get your camera out of your damn light out of my car.
Well, that's a fair thing to ask, isn't it? He said the stop is over. He put the ticket on the windshield. Now leave me alone.
Peter.
Bye. Bye, sir. Excuse me. My hands are visible.
Just know if you call 911, you're going to get cited for it. For it.
Just know if you keep threatening me.
If it's not an emergency.
Don't threaten me. Excuse me, sir.
911's
Don't
only
threaten me. Don't threaten me.
So I'm not threatening
You
anyone.
are threatening me.
You know
That's what you're doing. You threatening me with a negative.
You have a good rest of your night.
No, you have a good rest.
Thank you.
Threaten me.
So I'm not threatening
You
anyone.
are threatening me.
You know
That's what you're doing. You threatening me with a negative.
You have a good rest of your night.
No, you have a good rest.
Thank you.
So it's just the same old bullshit. It's just the same old bullshit is what we're seeing. Oh, well, there it makes perfect sense. It's a canine pig. It's a canine pig. Of course. What do we know about canine pigs? What do we know? Put in the chat. What do we know about canine pigs? What do we know about them? That canine pigs are the most sadistic, twisted pigs in America. We know that.
Can you get back in your car?
You said the stop was over. He doesn't have to get back in his car. You delivered the tickets. At that point, the cop has no more lawful orders he can give you. It's over.
Okay. Yep. You can grab them then.
Oh, no. He's trying to give him permission to get his paperwork.
Okay.
I agree with him.
Yeah, I said that. Y'all don't fucking scare nobody. That's some weak ass shit you do. Weak ass shit. But what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna drive down to your station and talk to your people. That's what
You gonna? So you hear what he just said? Listen to the words he just said. I want.
Scare nobody else. That's some weak ass shit you do. Weak ass shit. But what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna drive down to your station and talk to your people. That's what I do.
Yep.
Excuse me, I'm not. I'm talking to the officer that just gave me a fucking ticket.
They're trying to find a reason to arrest him. Now they're saying that he's causing a disturbance. You mean the cop car outside with the emergency lights on in the middle of the night with red and blue lights flying everywhere? That's not a distraction, but him being upset about it, that's a distraction?
Just know you can't drive from here either. You got to have a valid driver come pick you up.
Oh, now he just added that in. He just added it in.
You can't drive from here either. You got to have a valid driver come pick you up.
Oh, but he didn't say that a second ago. What a jackboot thug pig. He did not say that a second ago. Why is it now that he has to have a valid driver come drive his car away? Oh, because he's pushing back. He's pushing back against the police state, prison state, death state. He's pushing back against the pig. So now the pig's going to make up that because his registration's expired, that he has to have a valid driver come get his car. And they wonder why we hate them.
Yep. Well, then you can walk over there. You have a good night. We're leaving.
The driver got
See,
citations.
this is what I want to hear, though. I want to hear what those pigs talk about. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear what those pigs are talking about when the body camera is turned. I don't want body cameras to be turned off anymore. I don't want body cameras to get turned off anymore. It's just not what I want to happen anymore.
For operating without insurance, no registration, operating while suspended, and disorderly conduct.
Oh, his license is suspended?
He was able to drive his vehicle home.
What a piece of shit that guy is. I mean, what an absolute. Now, this guy here patrolling Wisconsin, I don't know if he's a bootlicker or not. I subscribe just to see what he comes up with here. We'll check out a couple of his videos here and see what he's got. 7th offense DUI. It looks like he's a bit of a, yeah. Yep. Yeah. It looks like he's the titles here. Man goes berserk after assaulting his girlfriend. I ran. I got warrants, but I don't want to go to jail. Yeah, this is a bootlicker. This guy's a bootlicker. I'm not going to support.
On December 6th.
I'm not going to support that. If you want to be a bootlicker, bro, you can be a bootlicker and you don't have to get my support. I'm not going to support you if you're a bootlicker. Sorry. I don't have to. I'm not going to watch your videos. I'm not going to support what you do. You want to cop suck? Do it somewhere else.
You have a toxic relationship.
You know why I put you over?
Huh?
Do you know why I put you over?
What do you say to that? You say, here's my license, registration, and proof of insurance.
Because I was at the stop sign for too long?
No. You don't say that.
Yeah, what's up with that?
No, you just gave him the reason why he's going to make the excuse why he pulled you over.
Why was you just sitting there?
Don't answer questions. But you don't say, I don't answer questions. You pulled your trifold down from your visor and you say, I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. You don't answer any questions, especially from a jackboot thug pig. You don't answer any questions ever. You use the trifold, you use your camera, and you say, I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. You say the words, Fifth Amendment, I invoke the right to remain silent. You say the actual words. If you don't say the words, it doesn't count.
I was just waiting for it to turn green.
But it doesn't matter what you say. His goal is to arrest you. It doesn't matter what you say. Try to make those as tight as you can. The tighter, the better.
I feel it's better than running through it. Where you headed?
I'm headed home.
This is really funny. I'll let this play. This is really funny.
Okay, where you live?
With my parents.
Okay, and where do your parents live?
They live with me.
Okay, and where do you all live?
We all live together.
Okay, so where's your house?
It's next to my neighbor's house.
And where's your neighbor's house?
Ooh, you wouldn't believe me if I told you.
Try me.
Next to my house.
Step out the car, please.
I'm going to jail?
Yep.
That's a bet.
You have a toxic relationship.
You know why I put you over?
Huh?
Do you know why I put you over?
Because I was at the stop sign for too long?
Yeah, what's up with that? Why was you just sitting there?
I was just waiting for it to turn green.
I feel it's better than running through it. Where you headed?
I'm headed home.
Okay, where you live?
With my parents.
Okay, and where do your parents live?
They live with me.
Okay, and where do you all live?
We all live together.
Okay, so where's your house?
It's next to my neighbor's house.
And where's your neighbor's house?
Ooh, you wouldn't believe me if I told you.
Try me.
Next to my house.
Step out the car, please.
I'm going to jail?
Yep.
That's a bet.
You have a toxic relationship.
You know why I put you over?
Huh?
Do you know why I put you over?
Because I was at the stop sign for too long?
Yeah, what's up with that? Why was you just sitting there?
I was just waiting for it to turn green.
I feel it's better than running through it. Where you headed?
I'm headed home.
Okay, where you live?
I'm sorry, I had to jump on something real quick and make sure you guys got your sweatshirts mailed out to you. James is here right now mailing out sweatshirts. If you guys ordered a sweatshirt, your sweatshirts are being mailed out. Here it is right there. We Don't Stop sweatshirts are now in stock. I'm going to be sending these out today, tomorrow, the next day. We Don't Stop sweatshirts are in, so I'm pretty excited about this. I mean, obviously, you guys know it took about a month to get these done, but this one I washed. I've already washed this right here, washed it and dried it, and it's even more comfortable now. And this one's an XL, and I'm a little bit big right now because I've been eating like a champion. But now the We Don't Stop sweatshirts are in, and on the back you got Team DLZ. Let's see if you guys can see this bag of chicken. I don't know if you guys can see. It looks like something like that. Team DLZ. How are we doing on sound? Do I got a 5x5? Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Just wanted to yeah, these sweatshirts are dope. I mean, super dope. Super dope. And so that's what I was doing right now with James, just giving him the final little instructions to get these out to you guys. So everybody, I hope that the sweatshirts arrive before Christmas. I'm hoping that they do. But yeah, the sweatshirts are actually, I got the AC down to 69. So it's definitely pretty chilly in here. Dan Hanlon, what's going on, Dan? I was just showing the We Don't Stop sweatshirts are now in. Stoked. Just stoked. It's such a cool design. I'm really happy about it. You know, I mean, I worked hard to get these done. You know what I mean? So now this one's kind of old, but I saw this video the other day and I was like, you know what? I'm going to cover it because but I just don't like all the talking sometimes. And I don't like that one either. I'm just trying to find the right one. Okay, so this one right here, I'll show you guys this one because this is some of the stuff that can change with
license plate.
With one governor. One governor in leadership can change this. Do we have the picture back? I'm not so blurry anymore. Hopefully the picture's working okay now. I guarantee you it was most likely that I had a video uploading. So this video right here, this is super frustrating to watch this. He had a dirty license plate. They said they pulled him over because he had a dirty license plate. That's why they pulled him over. And when you watch this video, it's going to make your blood boil.
Led to a man being stopped, tased, and handcuffed. The traffic stop in New Braunfels led to one of its officers resigning, along with the police chief, partly due to this incident.
It was back in January when the officer pulled over the driver who was black. The charges, fleeing a police officer and interfering with public duties, later were dropped.
Although it was months ago, the New Braunfels mayor and city manager today released the dash cam and body cam videos of that encounter.
Jesse DeGuiallo now with what occurred and a warning: you might find this video and language disturbing.
I'm behind him, lights and siren, not acknowledging, speeds of 60.
Officer Caleb Meyer had been trying to pull over the vehicle before it finally drove into a parking lot off I-35. Meyer walked up with his gun pointed.
Put your hands on the wheel. Put your hands on the wheel.
The driver, who is black, Clarence Crawford, grows increasingly anxious, then angry.
What is your problem?
Please don't sue me, officer. Please don't sue me.
What is your problem, dude?
Please don't sue me. Please, please, please.
Stop.
You.
After a few more minutes, Meyer tells Crawford several times to get on the ground, face down, and then...
What the you want me to do?
Stop.
What the am I doing?
Stop. Lay out. Face down.
I'm down.
All the way.
I'm down.
Meyer would later say he only tased Crawford twice in the back of his knees. After handcuffing Crawford, Meyer tells him why he was stopped.
For a dirty license plate.
A dirty license plate.
I can't read it.
But Meyer managed to call it into dispatch, saying he'd guessed right. Meyer's backup is credited with de-escalating the situation. The video, now an example of how it should have been handled, says the mayor, instead of a traffic stop gone wrong.
In a manner that is not consistent with the way our officers are trained or expected to handle a situation.
After mediation over his complaint failed, Meyer resigned. And according to the city, so did the police chief, partly because of the incident. Any charges against Crawford that night dropped at the request of the New Braunfels Police Department.
It's important to note that this is an isolated incident and is not an indication of a norm within the department. We have taken multiple actions to avoid any situations like this in the future.
It's just so unbelievable that we're seeing this. I want to show you guys this video. I want to show you this article that I've been reading. I haven't read the whole thing, but I want to read this to you. It's called "The Promise of Body Cam: How the Promise of Body Cam has failed us." And let me see if I can get the actual "The Promise of Body Cam has failed us." How police have undermined the promise of body cameras by ProPublica. And this, you guys want, I guess I could allow this to be read to us, but put a 1 in the chat if you guys believe that there should be a third party agency that gets all the body cam footage and all the dash cam footage. Put a 1 in the chat. It's because the thing is that without a third party that has the body cam footage and the dash cam footage, then police can edit it, redact it, erase it, delete the sound, delete the video. They can just cut it. Merry Christmas, everybody. And so I want to share this article, and I'm just going to have the article just be read to us. And the title of this article is "How Police Have Undermined the Promise of Body Cameras." And this was released on December 14th. So what we're seeing here is, and I'm just going to have the article can be read out loud. It'll read it to us. So let's just get into it a little bit. I listened to a little bit of this and I read a little bit of it, but let's see.
This article is from the December 17th, 2023 issue of the magazine in partnership with ProPublica and was written by Eric Umansky, read by Robert Petkoff. When Barbara and Belvette Richards learned that the police had killed their son, they couldn't understand it. How, on that September day in 2017, did their youngest child come to be shot in his own apartment by officers from the New York Police Department? Miguel Richards, who was 31, grew up in Jamaica and had moved to New York about a year earlier after coming to the United States through a work-study program. His father's friend gave him a job doing office work, and he rented a room in the Bronx. But he started to struggle, becoming reclusive and skipping days of work. His mother, with whom he was particularly close, pleaded with him to return to Jamaica. "It's as if I sensed something was going to happen," she says. "I was calling him. Miguel, come home, come home." His parents knew he had never been violent, had never been arrested, and had never had any issues with the police. What details they managed to gather came from the Bronx district attorney. Richard's landlord, who hadn't seen him for weeks, asked the police to check on him. The officers who responded found Richards standing still in his own bedroom, holding a small folding knife. And 15 minutes later, they shot him. Richards's death marked a historic turning point. It was the first time a killing by officers was recorded by a body camera in New York. The new program was announced just months before as heralding a new era of accountability. Now, a week after the shooting, the department posted on its website a compilation of footage from 4 of the responding officers. The video, the department said in an introduction to the presentation, was produced for clear viewing of the event as a totality. And as far as the department was concerned, the narrative was clear. Sometimes, the use of deadly force is unavoidable, the police commissioner at the time, James O'Neill, wrote in an internal message. The level of restraint shown by all officers, he said, is nothing short of exceptional. And, he added, releasing footage from critical incidents like this will help firmly establish your restraint in the use of force. Richards's parents were not convinced. Belvette watched footage at the district attorney's office. What he saw and what was released did not, in fact, show that the use of deadly force was unavoidable. He later learned that the department had not released all the footage. What else didn't they know about their son's death? When body-worn cameras were introduced a decade ago, they seemed to hold the promise of a revolution. Once police officers knew they were being filmed, surely they would think twice about engaging in misconduct. And if they crossed the line, they would be held accountable. The public, no longer having to rely on official accounts, would know about wrongdoing. Police and civilian oversight agencies would be able to use footage to punish officers and improve training. In an outlay that would ultimately cost hundreds of millions of dollars, the technology represented the largest new investment in policing in a generation. Yet, without deeper changes, it was a fix bound to fall far short of those hopes. In every city, the police ostensibly report to mayors and other elected officials, but in practice, they have been given wide latitude to run their departments as they wish and to police and protect themselves. And so, as policymakers rushed to equip the police with cameras, they often failed to grapple with a fundamental question.
Who would control the footage?
Instead, they defaulted to leaving police departments, including New York's, with the power to decide what is recorded, who can see it, and when. In turn, departments across the country have routinely delayed releasing footage, released only partial or redacted video, or refused to release it at all. They have frequently failed to discipline or fire officers when body cameras document abuse and have kept footage from the agencies charged with investigating police misconduct. Even when departments have stated policies of transparency, they don't always follow them. 3 years ago, after George Floyd's killing by Minneapolis police officers and amid a wave of protests against police violence, the New York Police Department said it would publish footage of so-called critical incidents within 30 days. There have been 380 such incidents since then. The department has released footage within a month, just twice. And the department often does not release video at all. There have been 28 shootings of civilians this year by New York officers through the first week of December. The department has released footage in just 7 of these cases, also through the first week of December, and has not done so in any of the last 16. Asked about the department's limited release of footage, a spokesperson pointed to a caveat contained in an internal order that footage can be withheld because of laws or department policy. The NYPD remains wholly committed to its policy of releasing such recordings as quickly and responsibly as circumstances and the law dictate, the spokesperson wrote. Though transparency is of the utmost importance, so too is the police department's commitment to preserving privacy rights. The department did not say which policies require the withholding of footage and did not address other questions about its record on the cameras. Mayor Eric Adams's spokesman did not make him available for comment. For a snapshot of disclosure practices across the country, we conducted a review of civilians killed by police officers in June 2022, roughly a decade after the first body cameras were rolled out. We counted 79 killings in which there was body-worn camera footage. A year and a half later, the police have released footage in just 33 cases, or about 42%. This article is the product of more than 6 months spent investigating how the police have undermined the promise of transparency and accountability that accompanied the body camera movement. We interviewed dozens of department insiders, government lawyers, policing experts, and advocates, and reviewed hundreds of pages of internal reports obtained through Freedom of Information requests, and dozens of hours of surveillance camera and body camera footage, including some that the New York Police Department fought against disclosing. The reporting reveals that without further intervention from city, state, and federal officials and lawmakers, body cameras may do more to serve police interests than those of the public they are sworn to protect. To Seth Stoughton, a former police officer who is now a professor at the Joseph F. Rice School of Law at the University of South Carolina, body cameras represent the latest chapter in America's quest for a technological fix to the deeply rooted problem of unchecked state power. Dash cams were supposed to solve racial profiling, he says. Tasers and pepper spray were supposed to solve undue force. We have this real, almost pathological draw to silver bullet syndrome, and I say that as a supporter of body-worn cameras. He later added, "We just said to police departments, here's this tool. Figure out how you would like to use it. It shouldn't be a surprise that they're going to use it in a way that most benefits them." Jeff Schlanger, a former New York deputy commissioner who had an oversight role during the implementation of body-worn cameras and left the department in 2021, believes that the police have often failed to use the cameras for accountability and that political leaders need to do more. Mayors, city council members, all locally elected officials, he says, should be losing sleep over the lack of meaningful independent oversight of the police. When full footage has been released, often by prosecutors or after public pressure, it often contradicts initial police accounts.
They lie.
In 2015, a white officer in Cincinnati killed a black man during a traffic stop. The officer said his life was in danger. But his body camera video showed that was a lie, and he was prosecuted for murder. Charges were dropped after 2 mistrials. And in Philadelphia this August, an officer shot and killed a man after the police said he lunged at officers with a weapon. In fact, footage released by the district attorney, who charged the officer with murder, shows that the man was sitting in his own car. In New York, Miguel Richards' parents weren't the only ones who had doubts about the department's claims that the shooting was unavoidable. The footage the department released stopped right when the officers fired at Richards. It didn't include the minutes after the shooting, and it didn't include footage from other police units that responded.
Right.
Ruth Lowenkron, a disability rights lawyer who specializes in mental health issues, wanted to see it all.
Right.
Working for New York Lawyers for the Public Interest, a legal advocacy nonprofit, she and her colleagues, along with activists, had begun pushing the city to find an alternative to using the police as first responders to people in crisis. On her second day on the job, a sergeant shot and killed a 66-year-old woman who had schizophrenia and was holding a baseball bat in her Bronx apartment. The department's own investigators concluded that the sergeant escalated the situation and caused the shooting. Now, watching the video the department released of Richards' shooting, Lowenkron feared that the same thing happened to him. The department's edited footage showed the officers making a few attempts to connect with Richards early in the encounter. "What's your name, man?" one officer asked. But they were also barking increasingly terse commands. "You are seconds away from getting shot," one officer said. "Do you want to die?" A few minutes later, as one of them warned that Richards might have a gun, the officers fired. Lowenkron filed a records request, certain that there was more to the story. In releasing the partial footage, the police commissioner had vowed that the NYPD is committed to being as transparent as possible. But nearly 3 weeks after her request, Lowenkron received a different message from one of the department's records officers. "I must deny access to these records." Body-worn cameras were adopted by police departments across the country in the wake of widespread Black Lives Matter protests in 2014, sparked when Michael Brown was killed by the police in Ferguson, Missouri.
Murdered.
The officer who shot Brown was not equipped with a camera, and there was a dispute about what happened in the last moments of Brown's life. Amid deep schisms over race, justice, and policing, there was at least agreement that police interactions should be recorded. Brown's mother pressed for the technology to become standard equipment. "Please," she begged Missouri legislators, "let police-worn body cameras be a voice of truth and transparency." President Barack Obama put the cameras at the center of his plans to restore trust in policing. Cities quickly began spending millions on the devices, expenditures that continue today for storage and software. Los Angeles has spent nearly $60 million since getting cameras in 2016. In Philadelphia, where footage is rarely released, the cameras have cost taxpayers about $20 million. New York City has spent more than $50 million. But whether citizens benefit from the cameras they're paying for is often up to the police, who have often been able to keep footage hidden from the public in even the most extreme cases. In 2018, in Montgomery, Alabama, an officer unleashed his police dog on a burglary suspect without warning, severing the black man's femoral artery and killing him. The police and the city have refused to release footage for 5 years, arguing that it could cause civil unrest and that the officers could face embarrassment. But a lawyer for the man's family, which is suing the city, got a copy of the transcript in the discovery process and entered it into the court record. "Did you get a bite?" an officer asked the one who had the dog, according to the document. "Sure did," the canine officer responded.
They're sadistic.
The secrecy undercuts the deterrent effect on officer behavior that many had presumed body cameras would produce. 3 years before the Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin murdered George Floyd by kneeling on his neck, body camera video caught him kneeling on the necks of others. In 2017, Chauvin dragged a handcuffed black woman out of her house, slammed her to the ground, and then pressed his knee into her neck for nearly 5 minutes. 3 months later, Chauvin hit a 14-year-old black boy at least twice in the head with a heavy flashlight, choked him, and pushed him against a wall. The boy cried out in pain and passed out. Chauvin pushed a knee into his neck for 15 minutes as the boy's mother, reaching to help him, begged, "Please, please do not kill my son." The footage was left in the control of a department where impunity reigned. Supervisors had access to the recordings, yet cleared Chauvin's conduct in both cases. Minneapolis fought against releasing the videos, even after Chauvin pleaded guilty in December 2021 to federal civil rights violations in one of the cases. A judge finally ordered the city and the police to release the tapes this April, 6 years after Chauvin abused the boy. Chauvin should have been fired in 2017, says Robert Bennett, a lawyer who represented both of the victims. If the police had done that, the city never burns. We'd have a downtown still. It's a parade of horribles, all to keep something secret. A Department of Justice report from this summer found that the secrecy and impunity was all part of a larger pattern in the Minneapolis Police Department. Shootings, beatings, and other abuse had routinely been captured on video, but the department didn't make the footage public or mete out They wore body cameras but faced no consequences until the case of Tyree Nichols, who was beaten to death this January by officers in the unit, attracted national attention. The footage showed that some of the officers took their cameras off. Others knew they were being recorded and pummeled Nichols anyway. It was only after public outcry that the department took the rare step of releasing footage, which contradicted initial police accounts and led to state and federal charges for 5 officers. Some politicians have often quietly enabled obstacles to this kind of accountability. When South Carolina became the first state in the nation to require the use of cameras in 2015, Nikki Haley, the governor at the time, made the announcement with the family of Walter Scott standing behind her. Scott was a black man who 2 months earlier was stopped by the police for a broken taillight and was shot in the back and killed when he tried to run away. A witness filmed the shooting, and that video contradicted official police accounts. "This is going to make sure Walter Scott did not die without us realizing that we have a problem," Haley said as she signed the legislation. What the governor didn't say was that the same law stipulated that footage from cameras is not a public record subject to disclosure, thus relieving police departments from any obligation to release it. And indeed, little footage has ever become public in South Carolina. In 2021, York County Sheriff's deputies responding to a call for a wellness check found a young man sitting in his pickup truck with his mother standing next to him. They fired at him nearly 50 times. The sheriff, who refused to release body camera footage, said the man pointed a shotgun at deputies. When the man, who survived, obtained the footage after suing, it showed no such thing. So far this year, the police in South Carolina have killed at least 19 people. The police have released footage in only 3 of those cases. When we asked one department, the Spartanburg County Sheriff's Office, why it had not, a spokesperson pointed to the law, writing, "We never release that footage." The pattern has become so common across the country, public talk of transparency followed by a deliberate undermining of the stated goal, that the policing oversight expert Hans Menos, who led Philadelphia's Civilian Police Oversight Board until 2020, coined a term for it: the body cam head fake. And there is no place that illustrates this as well as New York City, the home of the world's largest municipal police force, some 36,000 officers strong. New York's adoption of body-worn cameras started with a moment of unintentional inspiration. In 2013, Judge Shira Shendlin was hearing testimony in a federal lawsuit in which multiple advocacy groups claimed that the police department's aggressive stop and frisk policy was racially biased and unconstitutional. One day during the trial, an expert witness for the city mentioned a new tool for accountability, body-worn cameras, in passing. "My head snapped when I heard the words," Shendlin recalled this year. "I thought that could be a useful remedy." 2 months later, Shendlin issued a historic ruling that New York's stop and frisk practices were unconstitutional. She ordered the police department to begin piloting body-worn cameras, writing that they were uniquely suited to addressing the constitutional harms at issue in this case. Shendlin laid out 3 different ways the cameras would help. First, they will provide a contemporaneous, objective record of stops and frisks. She continued, "Second, the knowledge that an exchange is being recorded will encourage lawful and respectful interactions on the part of both parties. Third, the recordings will diminish the sense on the part of those who file complaints that it is their word against the police." But in a preview of obstacles that would follow, the department was slow to roll out the devices, even as they were becoming common in other cities. More than 2 years after Shendlin's ruling, the department hired researchers at New York University to conduct a survey about what residents wanted from a body camera project. The community's answers were overwhelming and clear: transparency and disclosure. Officers, however, wanted the opposite. They were concerned that the recordings would show a different side of the story than what would otherwise be told, according to a separate NYU survey. To Shendlin and the plaintiffs in the stop and frisk case, that was exactly the point. When the department released its policy in April 2017, it was clear whose opinions held more sway. No video would automatically become public. Anyone that requested it would have to go through an opaque, often slow-moving Freedom of Information process in which the department itself would be the arbiter of what would be released, though the courts could review that decision. The policy blunted the technology's potential for accountability in other ways. Officers could decide when to start filming instead of at the beginning of all interactions, as the public wanted. And while the public had little access to footage, the police had privileged access. Officers who were the subjects of complaints would be allowed to watch the footage before having to give any statements, something that could allow them to tailor their accounts to the video.
What a joke.
The policy was so flawed that the pilot program may do little to protect New Yorkers' civil rights. Ian Head and Darius Charney of the Center for Constitutional Rights wrote in a guest essay in the New York Times. Instead, it might shield police officers from accountability when they engage in misconduct.
Exactly what it does.
Still, on April 27, 2017, Commissioner James O'Neill and Mayor Bill de Blasio held a news conference at a precinct in Washington Heights to celebrate the rollout of body-worn cameras. Stepping up to the lectern, O'Neill said he was initially skeptical of the cameras, but had become a believer. "I'm totally convinced now that this is the way forward," he said. "These cameras have a great potential to de-escalate."
What a load of shit.
Then the mayor went to the lectern. Officers had long felt that de Blasio, a self-proclaimed progressive, was too supportive of Black Lives Matter protests and not sufficiently supportive of the police. That sentiment turned into rage when a man espousing hatred of the police murdered 2 officers in late 2014. Hundreds of police officers turned their backs on the mayor at the funerals. Ever since, de Blasio had been working to repair the relationship. "This is an historic day for New York City," de Blasio said with O'Neill by his side. "This is the first day of the era of body-worn cameras, and that means we are going on a pathway of transparency and accountability that will benefit everyone."
Lies.
5 months later, officers killed Miguel Richards, making his case the first in which the potential of body camera video would be tested. But Ruth Lowenkron, the public interest attorney who filed a request for the footage, was getting little from the police department. After it rejected her initial request, she appealed the decision. The department sent her some redacted footage, but again rejected her request for all of it.
Of course, as they always do.
Disclosing the full footage would be an unwarranted invasion of personal privacy, the department wrote. Whose privacy, the dead man's or the officer's, was not explained. Releasing the full footage, the department insisted, could endanger the life or safety of any person. The letter came from the department's legal unit, led by its deputy commissioner, Larry Byrne, who was known for his fierce advocacy for the department. From the outset of the body-worn camera program, Byrne made it clear that he was resistant to widespread release of footage. They are not public records in the sense that because the officer turns the camera on, they are now in the public domain. Byrne told New York One in 2015.
Yes, they are.
In fact, he insisted, most of this footage would never be made public. Lowenkron kept requesting the Richards footage and kept getting rejected or sent redacted video. In July 2018, she and her colleagues decided to file a lawsuit in state court demanding the full footage. They even got a former police department lawyer, Stuart Parker, to help litigate the suit pro bono.
Oh, that's what they did.
The department's various explanations for its denials pissed me off, Parker recalls. He retired from the department as an assistant commissioner in 2016, the year before cameras were widely rolled out. But he had been excited by their potential and was frustrated by the department's knee-jerk secrecy. There's a good side to the department, he says, but there's always been a self-serving dark side to it, too. In response to the suit, the department argued in legal filings that it had blurred the footage in order to protect the privacy of both Richards and his family. But Lowenkron and her team had obtained affidavits from Richards's parents saying that the department never asked them whether they wanted the footage released or redacted. And what the Richardses wanted, they said, was for the full footage to be released to the public. Public disclosure of footage isn't the only path to hold officers in New York accountable for misconduct. For 70 years, the city's Civilian Complaint Review Board had been vested with the responsibility to investigate New Yorkers' allegations against the police. From the start, though, its powers were weak. The agency was actually part of the police department, and its board consisted of 3 deputy police commissioners. The department fought efforts over the years to make the agency independent. In the face of a plan in the mid-1960s to include civilians on the Civilian Complaint Review Board, the head of the largest police union, then called the Patrolmen's Benevolent Association, said, "I'm sick and tired of giving in to minority groups with their whims and their gripes and shouting.
They're killing us in the streets, that's all."
The agency eventually became independent in 1993 after stiff opposition months before from off-duty officers. Thousands of them, along with Rudy Giuliani, then a mayoral aspirant after losing the previous election, staged a huge protest outside City Hall, with many of them going on to block the Brooklyn Bridge. After the changes, the review board still relied on an often non-cooperative police department for records, and its investigations frequently petered out amid competing accounts. And like many civilian oversight boards across the country, in the rare cases where it substantiated misconduct, it could only recommend discipline to the police commissioner who could, and often did, ignore it. Many civilians, whom the board relied on to initiate complaints, had long grown skeptical of the agency's ability to ensure that officer misconduct had consequences. But the advent of body camera video promised to fundamentally change how the agency worked. For the first time, staff members would have an objective record of the incidents they investigated. That was Nicole Napolitano's hope when she joined the review board as its new director of policy and advocacy in September 2017. The same year body cameras were rolled out in New York, and 1 week after officers killed Richards. "We talked about it in detail at the agency," she says of the initial footage of the Richards shooting. "We thought, look at what body-worn cameras can show us." Napolitano, who was married to a retired detective, knew it would be a challenge. As a senior policy manager in the Office of the Inspector General for the New York Police Department, she had seen how the department could simply ignore the recommendations in her reports. Napolitano hoped she would have more direct impact in her new, more senior position at the review board. But what she hadn't appreciated was how much the police controlled the literal tools of their own oversight. As with most civilian boards across the country, the agency did not have its own access to footage. Like the public, it too had to rely on the cooperation of the department.
The cops got the footage.
To try to obtain footage, the board had to navigate a baroque multi-step process. Written requests were submitted to a department liaison unit, which in turn forwarded them to the legal unit for review. Then the department had to locate the footage, which was a significant undertaking because it wasn't cataloging the footage in any systematic way.
Right, so you can't find it.
Unlike in many other cities, the department's cameras had no GPS location data. If a civilian making a complaint didn't know an officer's name or badge number, investigators and even the department could have a hard time finding footage. Perhaps most problematic for Napolitano, though, was the fact that the review board's investigators had to agree to a strict set of conditions before watching videos of incidents. If they spotted other, unrelated misconduct, they were not allowed to investigate it. If you were setting up a system to be shitty, one agency insider says, this is the system you'd create.
Wow.
At times, the department's animosity toward the board was palpable. Napolitano remembers one meeting in 2017 between board officials and Carrie Sweet, then a top official at the department's legal bureau who helped oversee the body camera rollout. As other police brass shuffled in, Sweet said they had missed a chance to bomb the room when only board officials were there, which would have solved everything. Sweet, who has since retired, says he doesn't recall saying that, but added, "On reflection, it should have been an airstrike." Napolitano and her colleagues noticed an even more troubling trend. The department would often tell the review board that the footage it requested didn't exist, only for the civilian agency to later discover that wasn't true. According to an analysis the agency put out in early 2020, this happened in nearly 1 of every 5 cases.
20% of the time.
Napolitano thought there was a straightforward solution to the department's stonewalling. The review board should be able to directly log into the department's system where footage is stored. That's how it worked with civilian oversight boards in a few other major American cities, including Chicago, which revamped civilian oversight after Laquan McDonald was killed in 2014, and the city tried to withhold footage that contradicted officers' accounts. Chicago's oversight board now not only has direct access to videos, but also regularly releases footage publicly, and its investigators have used it to successfully push for officers to be fired for misconduct. Napolitano didn't see a reason for it to be otherwise in New York. So in her first semi-annual report at the end of 2017, she noted the challenges of getting footage and called on the city to give the review board direct access. Both the department and City Hall, Napolitano says, freaked out.
And why is that?
It was a rough time for de Blasio when it came to public safety, Napolitano added, referring to the mayor's tenuous relationship with the police. In a dispute between CCRB and NYPD, City Hall always chose the NYPD. Always. I don't agree, de Blasio says. The tension between the CCRB and the NYPD is natural and built in. I decided each issue on the merits and according to my values. He went on, the blunter truth is, when a progressive challenges the police culture and the police unions and the status quo of American policing, the left is not going to have their back. You're not getting that thank you card. And the right will viciously attack.
He's right about that.
While the department fought Lowenkron and Napolitano on the release of body camera footage, there was one group that had access to all of it and could use it to check for misconduct. The department's own investigators. After every police shooting, detectives with the Force Investigation Division review the incident to see whether officers complied with department policy. The Richards case was the first time body-worn camera footage could let them see what actually happened in a killing by officers. As investigators dug through the video and interviewed officers in the weeks and months after the shooting, they saw a far more complicated picture than the one the police commissioner painted. As the tape began, one officer, Mark Fleming, beamed his flashlight into the far side of Richards's nearly bare, unlit bedroom. Richards was standing perfectly still in the dark, seemingly catatonic, wearing a blue polo shirt and sunglasses and whole left hand.
A tiny folding knife, tiny.
Department guidelines for dealing with people in crisis who do not pose an immediate threat say officers should try to isolate and contain the person. The primary duty of all members of the service is to preserve human life. Department policy states, officers are also instructed to wait for a supervisor's permission before trying to subdue someone in crisis. At first, it appeared that the officers who encountered Richards were following their training. Look, we could shut the door, Officer Redmond Murphy suggested to his partner, but Fleming, who had served more years in the department, quickly rejected the idea. He kept telling Richards to drop the knife, and he radioed for an officer with a taser. 2 officers from the specially trained Emergency Services Unit, which deals with people experiencing mental health crises, arrived. Then Murphy said he thought he saw something, perhaps a gun, in Richards's right hand, which was obscured behind a backpack on the bed. Hold up, one of the ESU officers told Fleming and Murphy before heading back downstairs to grab protective gear. I don't know if it's a toy or a gun, Murphy quickly added. As the specialists went downstairs, the officer with the taser, Jesus Ramos, went upstairs and joined Fleming and Murphy outside Richards's room. Do you want to take him down now? Ramos asked them. Yeah, they both answered. At nearly the same moment, a radio command came from headquarters emphasizing department guidelines. Isolate and contain, the dispatcher told the officers. Use non-lethal force whenever possible. As Ramos lifted his taser and stepped into the room, Fleming, who later said Richards was raising his arm, fired his gun. Murphy fired too. It's impossible to see that moment in the grainy, shaky footage. The clearest angle would most likely have been Fleming's camera, but it was covered by his arm as he held his flashlight. Fleming and Murphy fired 16 times, hitting Richards 7 times, including twice in the chest, rupturing his aorta. As gunshots rang out, the supervisor they were supposed to wait for arrived. None of the officers responded to requests for comment. The internal investigators asked the officers to explain. We kind of handle everything on our own, Murphy offered. An internal investigator pressed Fleming about what had situationally changed and prompted the decision to take him at that point. Fleming said everything changed once his partner said Richards might have a gun. I perceived that his intentions were lethal, Fleming said. But his answers suggested that he hadn't fully grasped Richards's mental state. Why would any sane person hide a fake gun? Fleming asked. When the investigators asked why the two officers did not broadcast that Richards was an EDP, or an emotionally disturbed person with a knife, as protocol dictates, Murphy told them he and Fleming had handled people in crisis before. Asked why they made the decision to use force, Murphy simply said, "We wanted to, end it." While the Force Investigation Division ultimately concluded that the officers had been justified in shooting because they were facing an individual armed with a knife and an imitation firearm, the investigators also said that Fleming and Murphy should still be punished. Richards, their September 2018 internal report noted, was contained and posed no immediate threat of danger. And the officers violated policy by not asking permission from their supervisor before they acted. The department's full investigative record was first reported by the independent journalist Michael Hayes in his 2023 book, The Secret Files. The review recommended that the officers face disciplinary charges that could ultimately result in their firing. But in New York, as in almost all cities in the United States, the police commissioner has absolute power over punishment. In March 2019, O'Neill, who had extolled the promise of body cameras just 2 years earlier, overruled his own investigators. He decided that neither Fleming nor Murphy would be punished for killing Richards. Instead, the commissioner docked them 3 vacation days for something else they did, stopping for pizza before responding to the call for the wellness check. O'Neill did not respond to questions or requests for comment. It would be another 3 months before anyone outside the department would see the full footage. That June, a New York judge ruled that the public is vested with an inherent right to know and ordered the department to turn over the recordings to Lowenkron's organization.
And they didn't anyway.
She received a package with a DVD a month later from the department. Bracing herself, she sat down to view it on her computer. The footage that the department publicly released cut off when the officers fired. Lowenkron now saw the aftermath. Richards collapsed to the floor, crumpled and bleeding in the same spot where he had been standing rigidly seconds before. "He's still alive," Fleming said. "Holy shit," Murphy replied. "Just fucking cuff him." The officers then flipped over Richards, severely injured so roughly that his head could be heard bouncing off the floor. They searched around the room for the firearm they thought Richards had. Eventually, Fleming found a palm-size, silver-colored plastic toy gun. "It's some fucking little thing," he said. The video does not show Richards holding the toy gun. More than 3 minutes passed before anyone administered any type of aid to the dying man. It was an emergency services unit specialist who retrieved medical equipment after hearing the shots. Outside the apartment building, more video recorded other officers milling about. One told a colleague, "They were just hurling fucking shots." Lowenkron was shocked. Officers had shot a young man and roughly handled him as he bled to death. "The utter disrespect," Lowenkron says. "It was a horror movie." New York lawyers for the public interest would go on to share the footage with journalists. It would also use the footage in a webinar for mental health advocates in November 2020. The point, Lowenkron told me, was to get more people engaged on this issue, transforming New York and this country's response to people in crisis. But by then, for another man in distress, it was too late. In April 2019, 1 month after O'Neill decided against punishing the officers for the Richards shooting, another officer shot and killed a man named Kowalski Trawick. The circumstances were remarkably similar to those in the Richards case. Trawick was also a young black man who lived in the Bronx and was experiencing a mental health crisis in his own apartment. He was also holding a knife when the police arrived, and he was also shot soon afterward. At the Civilian Complaint Review Board, Napolitano was immediately struck by the parallels. I remember reading the headline on Trawick and thinking, didn't I read this already? This time, though, the victim's family filed a complaint with the review board, providing an opening for civilian investigators to use body-worn camera footage to make a case that the department and others couldn't ignore. But despite repeated requests over many months, the department wouldn't share the footage or any other records with the review board, leaving the oversight agency effectively unable to begin its own investigation of the case. The refusal was in line with the department's long-standing practice to withhold footage from the board until the department's internal investigation was over, a process that often takes more than a year. Such delays can effectively torpedo the review board's investigations. Under New York civil service law, any disciplinary cases against police officers must be brought within 18 months of the incident. In the Trawick case, the review board obtained the full body camera video in January 2021, more than a year and a half after the killing, and only after a state judge ordered the department to hand it over to Lowenkron's organization, New York Lawyers for the Public Interest, which had sued for it. The judge determined that the department had been withholding the footage in bad faith. What it showed was even more damning than what was captured in the Richards shooting. As the police entered his apartment, Trawick demanded to know, "Why are you in my home?" One officer, Herbert Davis, who was black and more experienced, then tried to stop his white junior counterpart, Brendan Thompson, from using force. "We ain't gonna tase him," Davis said in the video. Thompson didn't listen. Instead, he fired his taser at Trawick, sending roughly 50,000 volts pulsing through him. As Trawick started rushing toward the officers, Thompson lifted his gun and prepared to fire. No, don't, Davis said, pushing his partner's arm down. But Thompson fired 4 shots, hitting Trawick twice and killing him almost instantly, 112 seconds after they arrived at the apartment. Davis and Thompson did not reply to requests for comment. There was also troubling footage of the aftermath of the shooting. Officers swarmed outside Trawick's apartment. "Who's injured?" a sergeant asked. 2 officers replied in near unison, "Nobody, just a perp." With all that in hand, the review board completed its investigation in June 2021. The agency, through one of the few powers it had gained over the years, can file and prosecute disciplinary cases against officers, which triggers a police department trial, after which a departmental judge sends a provisional decision to the police commissioner, who makes the final call.
A police department trial
This
with the
September,
department judge?
the police judge overseeing the Trawick case recommended that there should be no
there's
discipline.
a shocker.
Her reason had nothing to do with the shooting itself. In fact, the judge wrote that she had serious doubts about the decisions of the officer who killed Trawick. But the review board, she said, had failed to file charges within the 18-month statute of limitations as outlined under state law. In the end, the department's refusal to give the footage to the review board had effectively run out the clock on any chance the officers would be punished. "That should not be tolerated," says Jeff Schlanger, the former deputy commissioner. "Both CCRB and NYPD are city agencies. This is something the mayor needs to resolve."
The leadership. There is none.
In the wake of George Floyd's murder in 2020, huge demonstrations for racial justice and against police brutality rolled across the country and the world. It was a global reckoning brought on by footage. The video, recorded by a teenager on her smartphone for more than 8 minutes, showing Derek Chauvin ending Floyd's life. Napolitano and her team at the review board had collected data showing how footage could make a difference in New York, too. Access to body camera footage roughly doubled the likelihood that agency investigators would be able to decide a case on its merits rather than dismiss it as inconclusive. But the backlog was growing. That May, the board filed 212 requests with the police department for body-worn camera footage.
You have to ask
and
them
the department
for the footage.
sent only 33 responses.
You have to ask them for
While
the
the
footage.
pandemic slowed the work of all city agencies, the backlog predated it. The withholding of footage stops investigations and prevents the CCRB from providing adequate and meaningful oversight of the NYPD, an internal agency memo warned. The situation for New York City oversight of the police has steadily grown worse during the duration of a BWC program intended primarily to aid oversight. Napolitano campaigned internally for a law that would take away the department's absolute control over footage and give the review board its own access. That November, she was let go, along with 3 other staff members who had sent pointed emails and memos about the department's withholding of footage. The 4 filed a lawsuit claiming that their firing violated their First Amendment rights and received an undisclosed settlement. A review board spokeswoman wrote in an email that the agency has publicly and repeatedly called on legislators to support the fight for direct access. No employee has ever been fired for supporting direct access to BWC footage.
That's not true, though, is it?
This spring, the City Council Speaker Adrian Adams and the New York City Public Advocate Juman Williams sponsored a bill that would give the review board direct access to footage so that it wouldn't be beholden to the department for cooperation during investigations. There are difficult split-second decisions that have to happen in policing, Williams told me.
No, there's not.
But if we're not able to look at the same thing, if we have to take the word of the NYPD, that doesn't make this conversation any easier. The police department has opposed the bill. A department official insisted at a city council hearing in March that the department does not fear transparency. But the official argued that it would be an insurmountable obstacle to give the review board direct access while following state confidentiality laws. The bill has been stalled for months. The city, meanwhile, paid out at least $121 million in settlements last year for lawsuits alleging misconduct by police officers, the highest total in 5 years. With footage remaining in the control of the police department, body-worn cameras have made little difference to the public. This year, a federal court monitor wrote a scathing report about persistent problems with stop and frisk, the unconstitutional policing tactic that prompted Judge Shendlin to order the department to adopt body cameras a decade ago. The monitor found that, contrary to Shendlin's expectations, police supervisors weren't using footage to flag misconduct. In a sample of cases the monitor looked at, supervisors reviewing footage of stop and frisk encounters concluded that 100% of the cases they looked at were proper stops. The court monitor reviewed the same footage and found that 37% of the stops were unconstitutional. It was an experiment, Shendlin says, one that didn't anticipate issues like control over footage. Shendlin, who stepped down from the bench in 2016, says she now believes that the police department should no longer be the sole custodian of its own video. That troubles me, she says. It should always be somebody independent. In interviews with a half-dozen former commanders and high-level officials, most of whom were involved in the body camera program itself, they said that despite its public pronouncements, the department hasn't committed to using footage for accountability. Body cams are essential if done right, says a high-ranking commander who just retired and who spoke on the condition of anonymity because he still works in law enforcement. They are a game changer. He added, if there's a problem, you flag, and potentially there's discipline. But that's not happening in most cases. Instead, he says, body cameras have become an exercise in just work they have to do. It's a culture thing. Rudy Hall has a particularly useful vantage point. He was part of the team that rolled out the body cameras, visiting police departments around the country to see how they were using the technology, and has gone on to work for the federal monitor overseeing the department's compliance with Shendlin's now decade-old order on stop and frisk. I watch a lot of body cam videos, Hall told me. I have absolutely seen supervisors approve problematic conduct. Body-worn cameras have not been exploited the way they should be, says Jeff Schlanger, the former deputy commissioner. The way to true reform is through using body cams as an early warning system, as a way to correct small mistakes before they become big mistakes. But there weren't a lot of discussions about it. The NYPD needs to do a lot better.
No, we need to take it away from them.
One of the most comprehensive studies of the use of body cameras, a 2019 meta-analysis led by researchers at George Mason University, recommended that police departments consider using footage the way sports teams use game tape to regularly review and improve performance. That's essentially what the New Orleans Police Department did after the U.S. Department of Justice put it under federal oversight about a decade ago in response to the police killings of several black men and persistent police violence.
Nothing's gotten better
Body
there.
cameras were a critical engine for us to continuously evaluate performance, says Danny Murphy, who ran a unit at the department overseeing compliance with the federal mandate. 4 auditors were hired to join the police force and comb through footage. They looked to make sure that officers were using their cameras and that supervisors were flagging any problematic behavior. If officers know they're being viewed, if supervisors know they're being reviewed, it creates a pressure for accountability, says Murphy, who left the department 4 years ago. A 2020 report from the city's Civilian Oversight Agency, which has direct access to footage, noted a reduction in both the use of force and citizen complaints, which the department attributed to the use of the body-worn cameras and the increased scrutiny and oversight these cameras provide leadership. The police in New Orleans also regularly and quickly release video from shootings and other major incidents. But in the end, it's the police chief who has the final say on discipline.
Why is that?
During his tenure at the New York Police Department, Schlanger had in fact started a kind of internal oversight system similar to the one in New Orleans. Schlanger and other senior officials would meet with each of the department's 77 precincts every 6 months and look at body camera footage to identify problematic trends and officers. It was CompStat for constitutional policing, Schlanger says, referring to the department's data-heavy program for tracking crime. If we saw a precinct doing poorly, we'd work to help them. It made a difference. The department quietly ended the review program last year. A civil suit on behalf of Miguel Richards' estate was filed against the city in 2018. New York is seeking the dismissal of the case. A judge has been considering the request for 2.5 years. I want answers, his mother told me, and haven't been able to get them. The 3 officers involved in the Richards shooting were honored in 2018 by the largest New York police union, the Police Benevolent Association, which gave them its Finest of the Finest award for extremely brave and tactically sound action in the Richards shooting, noting that the officers had no choice but to open fire.
It's not true. It's a lie.
The officers were later deposed in the lawsuit. One of them, Mark Fleming, said in his testimony in September 2020 that he had learned a lesson, that the Emergency Services Unit, whose help he told department investigators he didn't need, is in fact better equipped and trained to deal with situations that involve people having a mental health crisis. It's not clear what, if any, lessons the department itself has taken in. Since Richards' death in 2017, when cameras were widely rolled out, officers have killed at least 11 people in crisis. There is no evidence that officers have been punished in any of the cases. On a Sunday morning in the Bronx this spring, there was another shooting. Santo de la Cruz called a city emergency line. His son, 42-year-old Raul de la Cruz, was in the middle of a schizophrenic episode and had posted a disturbing video on Facebook that morning. Wearing camouflage clothing and a hat with a patch of an Israeli flag, Raul complained about racist police officers. His father called 311, avoiding 911 because he was afraid of what would happen if the police showed up.
What a moron.
I thought they would send someone capable of dealing with a situation like that, he says in Spanish, because I was calling for a sick person, not to send the police to shoot him up.
You moron.
But it was the police who arrived
and killed
with
him.
Body cameras rolling.
And killed him.
And Raul was holding a knife. The officers shot him 28 seconds after arriving. He was hospitalized for more than a month before being released, having lost a kidney and part of his liver. The department commander cited the body camera footage when he gave a brief news conference the day of the shooting to describe what happened. This situation was fast, volatile, and dangerous, he said. The officers' quick response saved at least one civilian and protected themselves.
Lies.
But the department has not released the footage or commented in the 8 months since. Lowenkron's colleagues at New York Lawyers for the Public Interest have once again requested the video, so far to no avail. The department has also withheld the footage from the Civilian Complaint Review Board, per the practice of sharing records with the agency only after its own investigation is done. On December 5th, weeks after we sent questions to the department about that practice, the department signed a memorandum of understanding with the board to send footage to it within 90 days of a request. But for now, nobody outside the department knows exactly what happened in the De La Cruz shooting, including the family. They have not heard anything from the department. They want to see the footage.
As you listen to that, you just can't help but think to yourself, why is this happening? Why isn't a governor of a state, any governor of any state, saying, no, we're going to create a third-party agency that gets all the body cam footage, all the dash cam footage that is public footage. The moment we redact the social security number or that person's face that doesn't need to be shown, all the footage should be released. The body-worn cameras should never be turned off, ever. The cops should not get to decide when their cameras come on and off, or they can turn off the audio. They're hiding it. They're cheating us. Put a 1 in the chat if you know that they're cheating us. They're absolutely cheating us. They're cheating all of us. How far away are you, James? I think so. I'm about to ship off another shipment of sweatshirts. If you guys want a sweatshirt, get one now, because we're about to do the mailing today, and today is the 19th. So we're going to ship the sweatshirts off today. Hopefully you guys get your sweatshirts before Christmas. But this is the reason why I've changed my whole life, to run for governor and win the governorship, and then from the top down create new policies. Because you saw what a soft dick de Blasio was. He's just inept. De Blasio has always been an inept leader. He was a bad choice. He's a government shill. We know that to be a fact. We know that. De Blasio sucks. He sucked since the beginning. I was in New York City working as an executive for a media company when de Blasio was elected mayor of New York City. And he was inept and ineffective. He was a total scumbag. He had an adversarial relationship with the pigs, because how can you respect them? What's our ETA on these? 5 minutes before you're going to, how many you got shipped up? 18? Okay. So we got 18 hoodies going out. James is going to go and ship these hoodies now, because today's the 19th. I'm hoping that you guys get these hoodies before Christmas. It's the 19th now. So if we ship these hoodies out today, hopefully you guys will get your hoodies before. We don't stop. We don't stop. We don't stop. We don't stop. And I'm not going to stop until I win the governorship. I'm not going to stop until I win the governorship, because you guys can see it. Nothing's going to happen. And then just for you guys who don't know, I lowered the price to the Fifth Amendment cop card down to $8. $8. $8. So you get both the driver and non-driver card for $8. I lowered the price of the trifold down to $20. I want you guys to get this stuff for Christmas. So I got these down to $20 right now. So cop cards are $8. Trifold's $20. If you get 3 trifolds, I give you the 4th one for free. So then it's $60 used to get you 2, $60 now gets you 4. So they're $15 a piece. I want you guys to get these in your car. Everybody hit the like button. Chevy, did everybody hit the like button? Sorry, man. I didn't make an announcement to hit the like button. There's 150 people here. Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. I guess there's only 200 people on YouTube, but everybody, if you would please take a second and just take your finger, reach down, tap that like button. And so this is the whole reason why I'm running for governor and why I'm going to win the governorship, because people are sick of it. Oh, you got yours yesterday? Right on, Shanta. Super happy. Super happy you guys got it. You know, Fifth Amendment cop cards are going out. Trifolds are going out. Sweatshirts are going out. The hoodies are going out right now. We're actually going to ship the hoodies right now to try to get them to you guys before Christmas. We're going to ship the trifolds after he ships the hoodies. That's all of them? All right, let me know. Let me know, homeboy. Thank you. I appreciate it. Now, you saw those other 2 sweatshirts that were different, right? Yeah. Okay. Want to make sure. All right, James. I'll see you in a bit. I'll see you in a bit, homie. Full day today, huh? Full day today. Thanks, brother. Yeah, I took over all shipping. When I had a shipping disaster here that screwed up so many orders, I took over all shipping because I just can't. I just if there's going to be an F up, it's going to be my F up. So I want to show you guys something interesting here. That this article touched on it a little bit, but I actually saw this yesterday, and I wanted to show you guys this. I'm only going to show a couple of. I'll just show it because this was the remember we guys talked. We heard earlier about George Floyd. Well, let me show you guys something that you might find pretty interesting. So this right here, let me just get into this a little bit. So this is from Eric Umansky, and he said, I want to tell you a story about body camera and Derek Chauvin. Let me get rid of this. Sweatshirts are going out today, y'all. What's going on, Victor? Good to see you, KT. So sweatshirts are all going out today. And this says right here, I'm just going to read this to you guys. I want to tell you a story about body cameras and Derek Chauvin. What Chauvin did to George Floyd kneeling on his neck was his move. He had done that to others. It was all recorded by body cameras, but the footage was kept secret and Chauvin was left unpunished. In 2017, Chauvin arrested a young black woman named Zoya Code. Chauvin dragged the handcuffed Code outside of her home and slammed her to the ground, then pressed his knee into her neck for nearly 5 minutes. Don't kill me, Code begged. And there he is, just putting his knee. Too bad that guy in prison didn't finish him. I wish he could have been finished off. So that was Zoya Code that he did that to in 2017. And then right here, 3 months later, Chauvin did it again. First, he hit 14-year-old boy repeatedly with his flashlight. He choked him. Then Chauvin knelt on his neck for 15 minutes as the boy's mother begged, please don't kill my son. And there Chauvin is again, leaning his knee on the guy's neck. And we don't have access to the body camera footage. They're not letting us see it. So Chauvin was still a police officer May 25th. In Minneapolis, as in most all cities, it's the police who decide who can see what and when. What the police decided in these cases was to release nothing, nor was he punished. Chauvin had 22 complaints against him over the years, resulting in discipline once. So Chauvin was still a pig May 25th, 2020, when he stopped Floyd. Chauvin had his body-worn camera on then too, but police didn't release it. Instead, they released this description. After he got out of his car, he physically resisted officers. Officers were able to get the suspect into handcuffs and noted he appeared to be suffering medical distress. Officers called for an ambulance. He was transported to the Hennepin County Medical Center by ambulance, where he died a short time later. The police did eventually release the footage from another officer that day. It was heavily redacted. A police spokesman explained body camera footage is not public data. That has to change. We need a complete overhaul of these jackboot thug pigs. This is horrible. That footage of Chauvin assaulting, the world first saw Chauvin's body camera footage of him killing Floyd nearly a year later at Chauvin's motor trial. But even after Chauvin's conviction, police in Minneapolis continued fighting the release of footage from other incidents. That footage of Chauvin assaulting a boy and young woman years before he murdered Floyd only came out this year, 6 years after the incident, and only after a court order. And this is what the lawyer, RK4 Justice, in those two cases told me. Chauvin abused the boy. Chauvin should have been fired in 2017, said Robert Bennett, a lawyer who represented both of the victims. If the police had done that, the city never burns. We'd still have a downtown. It's a parade of horribles, all to keep something a secret. Of course, that's what the cops do. They don't care about you and I. It's about them keeping their blue ring of silence, their blue wall of silence. In refusing to release footage, the police have pointed to a law that gives them leeway to do just that. Where'd the law come from? Well, 3 of the 4 legislators who wrote the final language had long been police officers themselves. Don't you guys remember when I went to, I'm not sure, I hate to interrupt the video, but you guys remember when I went to Maricopa County, Arizona in 2021, and I went there and I revealed that a pig named Kavanaugh, who was a New York pig for 20 years and then retired in Paradise Valley, Arizona, he had then been elected, promoted by the Fraternal Order of Police, and then into the government of Arizona. He wrote SB 1923. SB 2319 created that 10-foot law in Arizona that you couldn't be within 10 feet of police and film them. He was promoted and put in that position by the Fraternal Order of Police. And then when he submits the bill, it got rubber stamped all the way through committee and it got passed. And the governor, who's an ex-pig, signed it. You have pigs in the government, pigs in the government, pigs in the government. An overwhelming amount of pigs in the government. And that's what we're dealing with, are pigs in this government. As for Chauvin, who was recently attacked in federal prison, too bad he didn't get what he deserved, he had previously declined to comment on the case. Chauvin's tale is part of a much larger one. It's about how police across the country have undermined the promise of body-worn cameras. It's the cover story of this week's New York Times Magazine from ProPublica, which we went over the entire thing today. And this is what we're looking at. This is all across our country, is that they've created rules using Republicans and Democrats, the same people who you want to vote for, and I won't vote for Republican or Democrat ever again. And why is that? Why is that? How come that is? And so now I just want to share something else with you guys. Trump doubles down on dictator remarks. Trump doubles down on indemnifying police. In his latest pitch, Trump wants to indemnify all cops. Trump doubles down on dictator remarks. Trump repeats vow to indemnify police. I mean, I don't know what kind of wake-up call that you need. I don't know what kind of wake-up call you need. How in the world can you watch my channel, say you're on Team DLZ, and then vote for this piece of shit Trump who wants to indemnify police? How can you do it? I just don't understand how you can do it. Repeating his vow to restore law and order. Well, let me just tell you something real quick. You're not going to arrest your way out of an economy that's created for the top 1%, and anybody below the 15% mark is going to work 2 jobs and struggle. And eventually, with the lack of education, they're going to rob. You're not going to arrest your way out of it. What are we going to build supermax prisons in every different city so that the top 1% can be the richest ever? Bezos just built a $40 million clock into the side of a mountain. For what? $40 million. Repeating on his vow to restore law and order. Trump said he will work to indemnify police officers from lawsuits. We will restore law and order to our communities, and I'll do a direct overhaul of the DOJ. I'm also going to indemnify police officers. This is a big thing, and it's a brand new thing, and I think it's so important to hold the pigs harmless. I'm going to indemnify through the federal government all police officers and law officials through the United States from being destroyed. Our pigs, our cops are forced not to do anything when they want to. They really want to solve the problem. They're not told to do anything under threat. They're told not to do anything under threat of losing their pension, losing their house, losing their family. That's what's happening to them. They're losing everything. Well, if you didn't know that Trump was a lying piece of shit, there it is. Show me one cop who's lost everything. Show me one. And look, you may be enamored with Trump. I don't understand how you can come here to this channel, watch what I say and what I do, watch how I sue cops, watch how I take on the system, and then say you're going to vote for Trump. I just don't get it. I would rather vote for a doorknob. I mean, I wake up every morning and I pray to God Trump has had a massive heart attack and died. That's what I pray for. I pray he dies. I pray for his death. Please, dear God in heaven, give him a massive stroke. He's everything that I'm against. Everything that I stand in the opposite for, Trump is for. We have to support our police. Everything has to be done. We're not going to allow anything bad to happen to the cops. They've been totally put aside. That is just not true. That is just not true. That's a lie. So I'm not sure if any of you guys are UFC fans. Are any of you guys UFC fans? Are any of you guys UFC fans? Anybody? Put a 1 in the chat. Are any of you guys UFC fans? I'm just wondering. If you are, let me know. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys watch the UFC. So I want to show you guys something, and then I want to ask you guys a question, and this is going to challenge the integrity that you are as a person. All right. I want to show you guys something. And so, you know, I've been a grappler. I've been in hundreds of tournaments in my life. Most of the tournaments I've won or took second place in. Very rarely did I enter a tournament and not win it. And so that's just my entire life. I've won almost every tournament I ever entered. I got beat. Sure, I got beat. There was always guys better than me, but I was usually the top 1% of wrestlers. So the thing is when you train in grappling, you have a team of people who support you. Grappling, fighting, jiu-jitsu, pancration, sambo, these are all very individualized sport. Okay. And I've trained extensively in pancration, sambo, jiu-jitsu, and shoot fighting. Originally, the first thing I learned was shoot fighting when I used to train with Guy and Ken. And so anyway, on and on and on. But here's the point. So now when you take a look at, I want to show you guys something.
Anybody know about crap that up there? He knew he was going to win the game.
Politics and sports, a perfect mix that has never been separated.
They don't want to get a nasty tweet from Donald Trump. Do you believe that?
Maybe this man was the accelerator for some.
I am not in the habit of supporting people who attack my wife and attack my father.
Didn't he call his wife ugly?
This guy weighs in on Major League Baseball's All-Star game.
Why don't you talk to the president the way you talk to my brother, Ted? You afraid of him? You think he'll smack you down at home? I'm talking about the president, the one who called you a liar, the one who said your wife was ugly.
I mean, those are fair barbs to throw back at Cruz, who's just a sellout.
Kaepernick writes, there is nothing new about American terrorist attacks against black and brown people for the expansion of American imperialism. Your response?
That's a fact.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a loser on and off the field.
Oh, like this guy's not a loser. I mean, the biggest loser in politics is this guy right here.
Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham follows the MAGA tactics as well.
I think it's very disrespectful to our country. I think it's very, very disrespectful to our flag.
All of this is by design. The mantra goes as follows: pick on the athlete for silently protesting while protecting the checks, because you see, the ruling class of sports is in bed with those tasked to pass laws. And one of the greatest cons at play in sports?
1.7 million square feet.
This is really interesting. This is kind of going to go outside the realm of what I'm talking about for about 3 minutes here, but this is super interesting.
Feet, a capacity of about 60,000 screaming fans. That's the plan for the Tennessee Titans' new stadium in the heart of Nashville. It's projected to cost $2.1 billion, and more than half will come directly from taxpayers.
The Michigan Strategic Fund has decided to issue $450 million in bonds for a new stadium for the Detroit Red Wings, 44% of which will be financed publicly.
Most of the studies will show that they actually end up losing money. It's really a question of political power and influence. And basically, football teams attract corporations because the corporate executives get the free boxes, and so they like it. Having a stadium, it may bring some business and residual business, but most people, when they go to a sports event, they eat at the stadium. They don't hang out at the restaurants in the downtown area. And so I just think that this is sort of a fanciful approach towards economic development instead of building really good jobs. And except for the construction, the jobs created by stadia are generally low wage, occasional work.
All of which is true, and what makes the latest move all the more troubling.
Washington Wizards and Capitals owner Ted Leonsis is preparing to move his NBA and NHL franchises to a proposed new arena complex and entertainment district in Alexandria, Virginia, sources tell ESPN. Now, after that news came out later Tuesday, Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser announced a new bill offering $500 million in financing for complete renovation and modernization of Capital One Arena, where both teams have played since 1997. Leonis is seeking $600 million in public monies for arena renovations.
This was announced on December 13th, with Ted sitting alongside MAGA Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin.
And I have to say that the work that we've done with my longtime friend Ted Leonsis has been truly, truly extraordinary and rewarding.
How much money has Ted put into your campaign?
To understand how the sausage is made, let's go piece by piece. This is the design those behind the scenes drew up for Alexandria. Ted, Monumental Sports and Entertainment CEO, could see his two teams move as early as 2028 on 70 acres worth of land.
We want to build, though, the most fan-friendly experience.
We've heard this song and dance too many times at this point.
Right. Give your money in for a city project that the billionaire gets to benefit from
the billionaire class, haven't we? He wanted $600 million in public funds. He's not getting his asking price. And now he's taking his franchises and moving. It is a simple A to B. Via woes, Virginia state lawmakers voted Monday to approve the arena project in Northern Virginia, the Washington Post reported. A final vote of the state's full General Assembly is needed to pass the project, which would create an 8 million square foot campus site in Alexandria.
This revelation that Ted Leonsis and Monumental Sports are going to move the Wizards out of the city, the NBA, a city sport, out of Washington, D.C. to Virginia, that is awful. I'm just hearing about this, the reporting in the Washington Post. You're going to take the city sport out of the city, turn your back on Washington, D.C., and go to Virginia? Really? What does that say to your fan base that has been loyal despite 0 years of contention for that franchise for a championship? Really?
David Aldridge, longtime NBA journalist, studio host, and reporter, wrote in his column for The Athletic, "This is about one man's grandiosity and readiness to leave when the city that has provided him so much over the last decades needed someone with his voice and influence to say post-COVID and post-January 6th, and which is grappling with crime outbursts throughout the city that have so many ill at ease. You know what? Some things maybe..."
There's a point here why I'm showing this to you, so just keep up for 1 second, because the point comes in less than 2 minutes.
Bad here right now, but I'm blessed enough to be financially secure enough to ride it out with you. I want to be part of the solution. So I'll be slightly less rich. I'm staying.
This week in my hometown, Monumental Sports principal owner Theodore Leonsis announced that he wanted to move the Washington Capitals and the Washington Wizards outside of D.C. from Capital One Arena to Alexandria, Virginia. The man sitting to my left is my father, Earl. He's the one that took me to games and taught me how to be a sports fan. And let me tell you something, as a family that grew up in DC and understands what that sport, basketball, means to the city, this is not just villainous, as Tony Kornheiser said, it's despicable. You're going to have to look yourself in the face every day, Theodore, when people start walking away from your team, and you're going to know exactly why they did it. Not cool. Never has been, never will.
Of course, there are many quotes that age poorly here.
So now wait for this. It comes up in about 45 seconds here. Wait for this. Listen closely.
2018, however, Ted bragged about staying and told the Washington Business Journal, I spent $110 million on renovations since I've owned the building. I could see us spending another $100 million over the coming years for infrastructure and technology right here. My goal, the building is 20 years old. I'd like to get another great 20 years out of it, wrote Candace Buckner. Ted's rapaciousness to become a superpower in sports and forsake any civic responsibilities to a neighborhood at its most vulnerable time, along with the district's dawdling, will mortally wound Washington as a major sports hub. Just when Ted and his enterprise could have been part of the solution for a struggling downtown, he's adding to the problem by escaping to the sanitized safety of the burbs. Just to give an idea of where Virginia politics is at, Ted has been after a reluctant DC government for $600 million in renovation funds. That is, he would like for the residents of DC to pay through the nose to shine up a building that is owned by a billionaire. And this created an opening for Youngkin. Glenn has been...
So they want the people, you and I, the peons, to put in $600 million of taxed money. What if you never go to the games? What if you don't even watch football?
Hunting a signature development victory so that he can say he's luring new business to his state, even if it costs taxpayers a ton. Recently, he did a whole lurid courtship dance with Dan Snyder in an effort to bring the Commanders to the same plot of land. In addition, we also learned via awful announcing that Ted sold a stake in the team's parent company to the Qatari Investment Authority.
So here was the point of the video, and I don't think I showed you the right video, but here was the point of the video. Trump went to the arena to go watch the fights. And this is the part where you really got to say to yourself, who do you want to back you up? So Colby Covington created this fake fandom thing where he created this thing where he's this right winger and he's down to make America great again. And this is Colby Covington, and he thanks Trump, how Trump came there. So if Colby Covington had beat Leon Edwards, which he did not, he got dominated, he got beaten, he looked like crap. If he had beaten Leon Edwards, then Trump would have jumped in the ring and put the belt around him and said, look, I'm with the winner, right? But instead, what happened was when Colby was giving his speech at the end of it, Trump left. Trump walked out of the arena. Trump left the arena as Colby was giving his speech and saying how much he supported and loved Donald Trump. But what did Trump do? Trump got up and left. He left. So he's right there. And then, so now Colby's given his speech right here, and Trump just gets up and leaves. So I started telling you about wrestling and fighting because of how much time you have to invest in it. And the people who are with you when you win or you lose, they're with you when you win or you lose. Whether you win the tournament or you lose the tournament, the people who support you, they put their arm around you and give you a hug and say, good job, Chille. That guy was just a little bit better than you, man. You're going to get him next time. But instead of that happening, what happened was when Colby Covington was giving his speech, Trump was walking out of the building, exiting the building, leaving, walking out the door. And why is that? Because Trump only cares if you win. He only cares if you win. And I told my buddy Carl, and I've told everybody that I can talk to, I am against Trump. You're welcome to support who you want. I hate his guts. I pray to God every day that he dies. He's a terrible, terrible person. If you go to the arena to support Colby Covington and he doesn't win and he loses to the Brit, then you go to his corner, you give him a pat on the back and say, way to go. Thanks for wearing my Trump hat and thanks for supporting me. Sorry you didn't win this time. But Trump didn't do that. When Colby Covington lost, Trump walked out of the arena as Colby was giving his speech and saying, oh, thank you so much for coming, everybody. Thank you for coming. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, I hate to tell you, that's just the way it is. I mean, as you guys can see from my watch history, I watch a lot of fighting. I watch a ton of fighting. I watch a ton of MMA, wrestling, grappling. I watch tons of TYT sports. And so as you guys look and you see, you'll be able to tell that Trump is just what he is. I mean, that's just what he is. He only cares about him being in the spotlight. And when Colby Covington left, and Colby had been doing all this stuff for Trump and supporting him and saying how great Trump was, and he's a MAGA guy and he supports Donald Trump. Then when he lost, Donald Trump left in the middle of his speech. And he wants to indemnify police. Like I was texting with my friend Carl yesterday, and I said, he's telling me, oh, there's now a thing here. I'll show it to you. There's now this thing for the people who hate Trump as much as I do. I mean, I now hate his guts, like beyond the pale, hate him. I mean, you're going to indemnify police and make it so we can't sue cops? Sorry, bro. I just don't have anything for you. There's no love in my heart for you, bro. There's no love in my heart for you. You want to indemnify police. And so yesterday, my buddy Carl sent me this, and I'll show you exactly what he sent me here. I'm going to show you the actual thing going around right now to try to get, here's what Carl sent me. And so there's this thing going on right now where you can contact Trump right here. You can contact Trump, and it says, contact Trump and explain where he's wrong about police immunity. Yeah, this shit has lost me. So if he walked out the door when Colby Covington was wearing his hat and saying how Trump's the man, make America great again, if he walked out the door when he showed up to a place with 20,000 fans, what makes you think that your email to him telling him, hey, don't give police absolute immunity, don't indemnify police, what makes you think that you're going to have any effect on him? And so what I said to Carl is I said, you're writing me this to tell me that there's 100 points we need to worry about. But let me tell you back, and I'm not going to show you the whole text message. I said, actually, this is my job to ask you now. Are the lights on? Are you not reading? Are you not seeing what this pig is saying? That he wants to indemnify police, that Trump wants to indemnify all police? Are you not seeing that he says he doesn't want you to be able to sue police anymore? It's a voting block for him. All cops are registered to vote. It's a voting block for him. He's never going to see the light, ever. And I don't have TDR. I supported some of the things that Trump did. I supported oil independence, energy independence. I'm not some climate guy. I think that we have a climate problem, but I don't think we have any effect on it. I'm for drill, baby, drill. I'm from Alaska. I think we should be drilling and be oil independent. The First Step Act that Trump passed, I cheered him on. But I can't support somebody who wants to indemnify police and stop us from being able to sue these jackboot thug pigs. I can't support that. So Adam Tramiel was warning, this video shows events leading up to the death of Adam Trammell, 22 after West Milwaukee police broke down the door to his apartment. The footage is graphic and only those 18 or older should view it. Now, can we stop it with the bullshit? Can we stop it? Teenage kids today have seen everything there is to see on the internet. Can we stop it with this bullshit? Can we stop it that we're protecting the children's eyes from seeing anything? Just put a 1 in the chat if you're sick and tired of this crap. It's for the children. We're sparing the children. No, you're not. If this is on Reddit, then any kid can go on Reddit and watch it at 8, 9, 10 years old. Can we stop the bullshit, please? Can we please stop the bullshit? You're not doing it for the kids. You're doing it so that we don't get to see it, so that YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook can say, no. We're going to demonetize this and put a warning on it so nobody will see it. No. You're doing that so that you're hiding what the cops are doing to the people of America, and you don't want anybody else to do well because you can't have someone become successful. Let me show you. Let me show you guys something. And just let me know if this is normal. If this looks like normal analytics to you. Is that what analytics do when this short has had 9,000 views? Is that what happens when your video, is that what happens when I put out a short and it starts to go viral? YouTube kills it. Is that what analytics look like? I am previously a sociological study, 10 years of a sociological study. That's not what analytics look like. Your video just doesn't die. Look at the corner where the video just stops growing. And this is on half of my videos. At 10,600, look at the video's arc. Look what's happening to the video. It's flying, right? That's a straight vertical arc. And that's in the first couple hours, not even the first hour. Look, and then look what happens to it. This is what YouTube does. They don't want you to see what the pigs are doing to us. This is not regular analytics. This is not the analytics. That is not how analytics go. When your video starts to falter, it does this. It's a rounding. Your video just doesn't cut off like that. It doesn't go like this and like this. That is not how analytics are. This is such bullshit, YouTube. You are straight up cheating me. Just straight up cheating me. Just cheating me and cheating everybody else. Look at this video. Look at that. What happened there? It was 2.3 times higher than any other video I had posted, and then it just dies. Why is that? Just completely and utterly, they just took a filter and put it over my video and stopped it from growing. And this is on most of my videos. As soon as it gets traction, YouTube cuts off the traction. I've got 20 of these screenshots. 20. This one, 112,000 views. They did it twice. They cut it off the first time. It kept growing anyway. They cut it off the second time. But because the video was so badass, so many people kept sharing it, they couldn't stop it. They still tried to stop the growth. Well, let's watch some of this. I don't want the video to get, if they demonetize the video, then no one gets to see any of the other stuff we talked about, including that report of the promise of body cameras has been completely ruined by the police.
Brandon, this is your last chance. We need you to open up. We just want to make sure you're okay.
Then why don't you just put a camera outside the door and leave? If you just want to make sure he's okay, then just drop a camera there and leave.
Otherwise, we have to come in.
You don't have to come in. You could just leave him alone in his apartment. That's what you could do. So they have to come in for a welfare check? No, they don't. They don't have a warrant. Now they're going to break in his door and they're calling this a welfare check?
Step away from the door. Brandon, we need to see a hand. Brandon, we need to see a hand.
They're calling him the wrong name. You read the caption.
Brandon, I want to see your hand.
Brandon, I need you to come on out. Brandon.
He's in the shower.
Listen to what he's telling you. You're going to get tased.
You're going to tase him while he's all wet?
Yeah.
Wow. I can only imagine how this goes. I don't want to ruin the video. I want people to be able to see the reading of the New York Times Magazine. I want people to be able to see that. I mean, we did that full 20-minute reading of that New York Times Magazine on the body cam footage, but they're going to murder him, just so you know. And then they're going to redact the body cam footage and cheat us from being able to see it. LA Police Commission finds lung collapsing punch to chest of unarmed 60-year-old is in policy. You're allowed to punch a guy in the look, they're punching him in the chest as he's on the ground. I don't watch frauds. I don't watch people who are just grifters. See this one right here? This guy's a grifter. I don't watch his videos. And oh, by the way, if you don't have a cop card on you, I don't think the cop is going to let you call your lawyer. I don't think that's going to work. I don't think you're going to. I hope that we get to a society where you can call your lawyer on the phone and you can FaceTime with the cops. I don't think we're there. I don't think we're there by a decade. That's what I don't think. So I don't watch this guy's videos because he's a fraud. Louisiana State Police reinstate trooper accused of withholding video in man's deadly arrest. 5 officers charged. Hollingsworth died after being told he would be charged. Oh, I saw this one. This isn't too bad. Hopefully YouTube doesn't.
Tuesday, a grand jury has indicted 2 Virginia sheriff's deputies over a traffic stop where the driver later died. In April of 2022, Ralph Ennis was stopped in Warren County. Video shows a deputy swinging the 77-year-old around when his face hit the back of his truck. Ennis was taken to the hospital to treat his facial cuts when doctors found a brain hemorrhage as well as symptoms of dementia or Alzheimer's. Ennis died 13 days later. Former Deputy Zachary Fagley is now charged with malicious wounding, and Deputy Tyler Poe.
Wow. There was no reason to even do that to the man. There was no reason to go running over.
Deputy Zachary Fagley.
He's just standing there. The guy's literally just take a look. I'll escape and I'll zoom in. Take a look. The guy's just standing there.
Ennis died 13 days later.
So look, there's an old man, 77 years old, standing there at the corner of the car.
Former Deputy Zachary Fagley.
And he runs up behind him as the man is just standing there.
Is now charged with malicious wounding.
And then slams the old man into the back of a car and gives him a brain hemorrhage and he dies.
Tyler Poe is charged with unlawful wounding.
Go figure.
And also 2 DUI arrests at one time. First, a deputy is accused of being passed out drunk behind the wheel and then crashing her car into land when the officers finally woke her up.
Then, while the officers were investigating that case, another driver crashed into their vehicle.
I'm just so disgusted right now. I'm just so disgusted right now with reading I mean, the idea that you would blanketly say that you're going to indemnify all police and make it so that no one can sue them. It just has me just so twisted up. Like the entire principle of America, the right to petition in your First Amendment, you're trying to strip the First Amendment. It just hit the like button. Dave Hall said it. Hit the like button. Let me just take a breath here because I'm just so irritated. Like, to my friend Carl, what's it going to take? You're sending me some links to write to Trump and beg him not to indemnify police. Why put someone like that in the White House? Why put someone in the White House who says that he wants to be a dictator, that he's going to go after his political rivals like they went after him, that he's going to indemnify police and bring back law and order? Like, why would you vote for someone like that? It has nothing to do with me. Why would you put your name next to a guy who says he wants to indemnify police? I would rather have sleepy Joe Biden. I'd rather have the criminal Biden than the criminal Trump. It just makes me sick to my stomach. How could you support somebody like that?
Fox 35's Patrick Perez is joining us live in Volusia County tonight, where this all went down. Patrick.
Luann, what a chaotic night for these officers and the deputies. This all played out right behind me here at this intersection at Taylor.
What a chaotic night for the officers and the deputy.
And Woodland here in DeLand. And while that off-duty deputy did refuse to do a breath test, police say they found 3 open White Claws in her vehicle.
Put your car in park. No, put it in park.
This Seminole County Sheriff's deputy found herself on the other side of the law early Saturday morning.
She's passed out behind the wheel with her foot on the brake.
It's just before 1 a.m. and this DeLand police officer is trying to get her attention after realizing she's not moving her car. This was at East Taylor Road and South Woodland Boulevard. When the knocks on the door don't work, he tries the room. And that's when things took a turn.
No, put it in park.
The deputy, identified as 29-year-old Kristen Simpson, hit the Volusia Sheriff's vehicle parked right in front of her.
The reason we're here is because you're passed out behind your wheel.
How is that nice?
I'm banging on your car and you rolled in front and crashed into a sheriff's car. So that's why we're here.
Eventually, they learned who she is.
Are you a cop?
Am.
For who?
Police suspect Simpson was driving under the influence with 2 dogs in the back after smelling a strong odor of a fruity alcoholic beverage emitting from her breath and finding 3 open White Claw cans. But she's not the only driver suspected of DUI they'd encounter. While investigating her case, the Volusia Sheriff's Office says a driver crashed into the back of a patrol car at this same scene. FHP identified that driver as 46-year-old Alistair Bond of Sanford. He was also charged with DUI. And court records show that Simpson spent only a few hours in jail early Saturday morning before bonding out. The Seminole County Sheriff's Office says they have placed her on administrative leave with pay pending the outcome of this criminal investigation and their internal investigation. We're live in DeLand tonight. I'm Patrick Perez, Fox 35 News.
So just gotta take a break there for just a half a second so I could breathe. I want to show you guys this one. I saw this one yesterday, and so I'm going to make a video about this. I haven't made my video yet. So I just, we have to claim our freedom back and our rights back. We have to take our rights back from this government. That every day, the police, the prosecutors, the judges, the politicians, Republicans and Democrats, the Supreme Court is working against us all day, every day. What we don't want to do is put people in positions of power that want to strip our rights away and openly say out loud, I want to strip away your right to petition. I want to strip away your right to assemble. We can't elect those people into government. That's a bad thing. When the politicians openly state that they want to do X, Y, or Z, believe them. When a politician says he wants to use the military and go door to door in our country to root out illegal immigrants, believe that that's what that guy wants to do. When a politician says he wants to institute nationwide stop and frisk, believe that that's what he wants to do, and that's what you're voting for. When a politician says that he wants to run for office and indemnify all police and end all lawsuits against police, you need to believe him and realize that's what you're voting for. That's my frustration, is how can people, like, I guarantee you the angry vet, he's not going to vote for that guy. There's no way you can vote for that guy. How could you vote for somebody who says that out loud? I don't understand. I just don't get it. It's just confusing to me. I watched this yesterday. I found the video. Let's watch it.
$400,000. $400,000. That's the cost of a settlement between the city of Loveland and a man wrongfully arrested for driving under the influence.
Harris Elias and his attorney say this is just one example of a pattern of similar arrests. Denver 7's Colette Bordelon with our top story.
I'm with you there,
Hey,
Angry.
Officer Gates, the reason I stopped you.
This is body-worn camera video from January 2020.
The moment that the officer approached the car, I knew something was out of whack.
Showing Harris Elias, stopped by Loveland police.
I said, how much have you had to drink tonight?
Elias says he was slowing down to check a street sign.
Because obviously I could smell an overwhelming odor of alcohol. Don't fall over there.
An overwhelming odor of alcohol.
Police arrested him for driving under the influence. The case was dismissed after a breathalyzer and later a blood test showed there was nothing in his system.
Breath test came back not consistent with your driving actions.
Elias filed his own case against the city of Loveland arresting officer and his supervisor.
We settled this lawsuit for $400,000.
The money does not mean the city or its officers are admitting liability.
They'll pay you almost $500,000, but they're not admitting to doing anything wrong.
Money can't bring people whole to what they've lost, particularly when it's something as basic as the ability to feel safe.
His attorney, Sarah Schelke, doesn't consider the settlement a win, but says her research shows it's the largest one on record in Colorado for a civil rights lawsuit alleging a wrongful DUI arrest.
It is absolutely insane. If it didn't happen to me, I wouldn't believe it.
What Elias couldn't believe is that he would have another lawsuit alleging the same thing in Fort Collins.
It's a measure of not something that I did, but how pervasive the problem is.
What would you say to someone who questions how there are two lawsuits related to you and wrongful DUI arrests?
Understand that it could happen to anyone.
Yes.
It's happening to Harris twice proves the problem that I've been trying to expose.
Something the two don't feel has been properly addressed.
The individual officer is gone, the chief of police is gone, but the system is fundamentally still designed to protect bad police officers.
Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
The city of Loveland says when a civil lawsuit is filed against a police officer alleging misconduct, that officer is suspended pending the outcome. Now, the officer in this case, William Gates, resigned in March. So because he resigned during that litigation, there was never any discipline.
So sorry.
So pending the outcome. Now, the officer in this case, William Gates, resigned in March. So because he resigned during that litigation, there was never any discipline in March. So suspended pending the lawsuit is filed against a police officer alleging
fundamentally still.
I want you guys to listen real closely here to the reporter here at the end, and he gives some value information.
Designed to protect bad police officers.
Yeah, the system's designed to protect bad police officers. That's right.
Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
The city of Loveland says when a civil lawsuit is filed.
The city of Loveland says when a civil lawsuit is filed
against a police officer alleging misconduct, that officer is
suspended with pay. So he filed a lawsuit against the officer, so he's suspended with pay
pending the outcome.
Pending the outcome of the investigation. So he gets sued. He then says he's put on leave when he gets sued for violating someone's rights, and then
now the officer in this case, William Gates, resigned in March. So
then he gets word from his commander or lieutenant or captain or colonel that the case is coming to a head. So after he's taken a bunch of free money as he's suspended with pay, then
because he resigned during that litigation,
because he resigns during the litigation, then
was never any discipline.
There's no discipline against him.
The city of Loveland says when a civil lawsuit is filed against a police officer alleging misconduct, that officer is suspended pending the outcome. Now, the officer in this case, William Gates, resigned in March. So because he resigned during that litigation, there was never any discipline.
Okay. Let's listen to this together.
The city of Loveland says when a civil lawsuit is filed against a police officer alleging misconduct, that officer is suspended
with pay
pending the outcome.
Pending the outcome of the lawsuit.
Now, the officer in this case, William Gates, resigned in March. So because he resigned during that litigation, there was never any discipline. So
he gets to resign. He gets to take a paid vacation first after he violated someone's rights. He gets to get a bunch of money, a week, 2 weeks, a month, 6 weeks, I filed several federal civil rights lawsuits. It takes at least 6 weeks for them to respond. So if I sue you in federal court for a tort lawsuit, then what happens is you get 30 days to respond to my lawsuit. You're going to file a demur to dismiss the case is what you're going to do. And so then I get 30 days or 14 to 30 days to respond to your request to dismiss the case. So there's 6 weeks right there at least that Gates could have just been collecting his money
to protect bad police officers.
To protect bad police officers.
Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
The city of Loveland says when a civil lawsuit is filed against.
So then who's creating the bad policy? Who could change this right here?
Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
Ready? Listen to this.
The city of Loveland says when a civil lawsuit.
The city of Loveland says, so who could change that? Could it be the Republicans and Democrats there? It could be them. Could be the mayor of Loveland. Could be the governor of Colorado. And what could they change?
It was filed against a police officer alleging misconduct. That officer is suspended.
So when a police officer is sued for violating someone's civil rights, that police officer is suspended with pay. All you have to do is change that to suspended without pay. And then whether or not they've resigned from that pig shack or not, they still can be held accountable and punished through the legal system. Because if you wrongfully kidnap somebody, took them from the streets, put them in torture cuffs, took them down to the dungeon, ran them through the process, and then this guy got suspended from his job because he's an airline pilot, then you should be criminally charged for doing that because you're a criminal. The city...
With a civil lawsuit.
Police officers.
Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
The city of Loveland says with a civil law.
This is why I'm running for governor, because the city of Loveland says this. Well, all you have to have is one executive in charge who will do what has to be done and we'll take that on and say, I'm going to change that policy. But they're all afraid of the pigs. They're afraid of just the same reason why Trump wants to indemnify police. He loves the police union. It's a huge voting bloc. And those people are terrified of the pigs. Politicians are, who was afraid of the pigs? Earl Warren was afraid of the pigs. Earl Warren, remember he did this, the quick switcheroo, the 1961 case of Mapp versus Ohio, which creates fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine, which is an extension of the exclusionary rule from the 1914 case of Weeks versus United States. The exclusionary rule extended in fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine in 1961 makes it so that if the cops obtain any evidence against you and it's obtained illegally without a warrant, that it's inadmissible in court. So that goes all the way back to your Fifth Amendment right, your Eighth Amendment right, your First Amendment right, your Fourth Amendment right. Those are your fundamental rights established in 1791, ratified in 1793. Those rights are then upheld in that 1914 case of Weeks, upheld again in the 61 case of Mapp versus Ohio, making it so the cops have to have a warrant. Your Fourth Amendment has to be respected. And then what happens in 1963, after the police are picketing Earl Warren, they're picketing up and down the streets and saying, impeach the Chief Justice Earl Warren because he did that Mapp versus Ohio, which makes it so they have to have a warrant before they can go rent in your house. So then after he passes that in 61, in 63 in Kerr versus California, Earl Warren says cops can just knock, 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 announce at your door, and then come bursting in if a man of reasonable caution believes there's criminal activity afoot. So they're all scared of the pigs. They're all scared of the pigs. I hope you guys understood that word soup. I'll get on my graphic here, but I'm adding a bunch of things to the wall, to the Constitutional Law Scholar wall. And I'm going to add a bunch more things here. And then I'm going to show this again. But I showed it just a real quick one. If you guys are unfamiliar with the channel, if you're your first time here, I have a big wall here with all the Supreme Court cases that I know off the top of my head. And I gave a preview of this a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago maybe, and I felt like I was missing a lot of things. So I'm revamping it, and I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to do it again. We don't stop, baby. We don't stop.
A Miramar police officer is in jail tonight accused of attacking his girlfriend. Orlando Marrero is facing domestic battery charges. Police say the 24-year-old got into a fight with his girlfriend.
I mean, I hate to stop it, but take a look at this kid. This kid's going to walk up to me and tell me that he's in charge of me. You should have to be 30 years old to be a cop, period. At least 30. That boy is going to walk up to a man and tell me that he's in charge of me, and he beats his chick.
Police officer is in jail tonight accused of attacking his girlfriend. Orlando Marrero is facing domestic battery charges. Police say the 24-year-old got into a fight with his girlfriend at their home in Hialeah. The girlfriend told investigators that Marrero choked her, put her in a headlock, and repeatedly grabbed her while she tried to get away from him. The fighting eventually spilled to the front of the house, and that's when investigators say a witness stepped in and separated the pair. Miramar police released a statement saying in part that they've relieved the officer of duty while the investigation unfolds.
But wait, did they relieve? I'm so sorry. Did they relieve him of duty with pay or without pay?
It's a statement saying in part that they've relieved the officer of duty.
Okay, but relieve the okay, let me just make it clear. If y'all get a video of me and I've got my girlfriend in a headlock. Let's just say you got a video. We don't got a video of this, but let's say there's no video. Let's just say that you hear, well, I'm a little different because I have thousands of trolls who make up stories about me. So it's if one of you, if your job was reported that you had your girlfriend or your wife in a headlock and you're fighting her, you would be suspended from work or fired from work without pay. Why is it that the cop gets to beat on his chick and then he's suspended with pay? Why is that? Why is that? It's so frustrating. If it happened to you or I would be absolutely hosed. You know, and that's the whole thing. It's tough for me to root for people to go to jail. It's hard for me to be like, yay, put people in jail. You really have had to have done me personally wrong or committed a crime of violence or been so destructive to other people's property where I say, you know, you should go to jail. Because jail has a bunch of pitfalls and trapdoors and things that you might not understand or be ready for. I've been arrested and I'm facing, this is in 2002. I've been arrested. I've been charged with 5 felonies. I was no-knock raided. The SWAT team came in, put the laser beams in my eyes. I was naked in bed when they came in. My girlfriend was next to me. I heard the door kick off the hinges. I just put my hands above my head, above the sheets, and then the sheets were over my body, which was completely naked. And I heard them running down the hallway toward my bedroom. And then they kicked the door open and then they arrested me. You know, I had all the red laser beams in my eyes because it was like 4:00 in the morning. And then when they took me down to jail, I initially got booked and then I got put in the barracks and I had to go through this, I joined a gang on accident. And then here's the most dangerous part of you going to jail. Well, every second of every day is dangerous for you in jail. However, when you're transporting between the jail and the courthouse, that's when a lot of things happen because they wake you up at 5:00 in the morning and they put chains on you and they shackle you together with 4 other people. Then they take you out to this bus where they put you in the same sections of 4. They have cages for sections of 4 and they shut the cage and lock it. Then they bring the next 4 people in, stick them in a section of 4. They're all chained together, shut the door and lock it. So there's a bunch of mini lockers inside of a great big bus. And this is what gave me the idea for transparency that I presented so long ago. So now you're in this bus and you go to court. And when you go to court, everybody is going to court from any jail in the local area who has a court date that day. And so when you go to that courthouse, they put you inside of a cell in the courthouse. In every courthouse in America, they have jail cells right behind the court. I'm not sure if you know that or not. So I'm in this jail cell in the back of the court. It's my first day. I'm charged with 5 felonies. Each one carries 5 years in prison. So I'm looking at 25 years in prison. And when you go to the courthouse, you're in jail. Then you make your appearance in court. I didn't have an attorney. And so they said, how do you want to plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest? Because you have to be arraigned within 72 hours, according to constitutional law. So you have 72 hours to be arraigned. I say, I'm not going to make any pleading right now until I have counsel here. And then the judge says, well, all you're doing is making a plea, guilty, not guilty, or no contest. You can make that plea without your lawyer if you want to make the plea. And I say, Your Honor, I don't want to make that plea. I want to wait till I have counsel here. And then they take me back into the little dungeon. When you go back into that little dungeon after you've seen the judge, people have also gone to see the judge, and then they are dragged back to that dungeon. And so what happens to me is I go into court and I tell the judge, hey, I'm just going to postpone my arraignment until I have counsel. He says, well, you just want to make your plea? I say, I don't. And they said, well, you're going to have to come back here again tomorrow. And I said, that's fine. Then they put me back in the dungeon. Other people are going before the judge, and the judge is saying, okay, that's 10 years in prison. That's what's happening. Other times people are saying, okay, you're going to be released tomorrow. And the judge is judging, sentencing. I'm back in that little dungeon. I haven't been chained together with 4 people yet. And guy, I'm sitting down on a bench right here, and there's someone next to me, The cell is this big, and they've got 25 people in the cell. The cell is literally this big. It's got 2 benches in it that should seat 6 or 7 people at the most, 5 people maybe. And there's 25 people in this cell. There's only 2 benches, and it's a cell, and it's literally 10 feet by 10 feet. And I'm in the cell after I've seen the judge, and I'm sitting there. I'm sitting between 2 people. I was fortunate to get a bench. And all of a sudden, I see over the top of me a shadow. And I look up, and there is a gigantic man. He happened to be black, but he's about 6'7". This huge man weighs about 300 pounds, standing right over the top of me. And I'm thinking to myself, this guy wants my bench. So I go, oh, you want me to get up? Because this is a giant of a human being. And he looks at me and he goes, no. When the guard leaves, I'm going to kill you. And I said, what? And I immediately became extremely uneasy. Just what? I said, oh, excuse me, right? I get up. I don't even notice I do it. I get up and I step behind the bench because there's 2 benches in the middle of the room. And then you can just walk around these 2 benches pretty much on a 10-foot by 10-foot room. And then there's another 10-foot by 10-foot room where there's 25 people locked in that room. And then there's another 10-foot by 10-foot room, and there's a corridor right here. So the guy comes and stands over me and says, no, when the guard leaves, I'm just going to kill you. So I stand up and I'm backing away. And I'm watching the guard, and the guard's talking, and the guard starts to walk away. You hear his keys walking. And so then this great big guy starts going around the bench to get me. And so then I'm walking around this cell like this, and this is what's happening in this room. And he's slowly walking towards me, but there's so many people's bodies in there laying on the ground, sitting up, that I'm walking between people, and this great big huge giant of a man is following me. And he has the look in his eyes like he wants to kill me. And I have no idea why. And so I'm asking him, hey, man, what are you doing? Why do you want to do this? And he's like, and I'm like, dude, why do you want to do this? And he's just shaking his head at me like he's a total fucking psycho. And so I'm like, oh man, I'm literally, I can feel the sweat coming down my face, and people are starting to get annoyed because I've made 3 or 4 laps now in this thing with this giant man following me. And then I'm begging him, dude, why are you doing this? Please, I don't want to fight you. I don't even know you. And I hear this. And so I keep walking in a circle, and then the and he starts to cough in this way that I have never seen ever in my life before. And he is choking, and there's slosh coming out of his and there's spit coming out of his mouth as he's still chasing me. And then he goes down right there like a sack of shit right there. And as he falls to the ground, people have to scurry and move because he's a giant. And now he's choking where slobber is flying out of his mouth, and he's he can't get any air into his lungs. And now I've gone from a position where I'm running in a circle away from this man, begging him, why are you doing this? What did I do? I don't want to fight you. I don't even know you. Now it went from me running to now I'm over kneeling next to this man, pulling on his shoulder, saying, dude, breathe, get your tongue out of your mouth. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And one of the guys in there goes, he's choking up. And I say, choking up? What do you mean he's choking up? And another guy goes, it's PCP. I said, and the guy's and slobber is just coming out of his mouth. I mean, it's to the point where I don't want to touch him because he's cascading this mucus all over his face. And so then the guy explains to me he did a pixie stick. I have no idea what he's talking about. I said, what's a pixie stick? He says it's a PCP laced cigarette that he smoked before he came in here. You see his eyes, he's on PCP, but it doesn't matter because he's still dying in front of me. And so now me and a bunch of other guys are screaming, guards, he's dying, right? And the other guys are like, he's just choking up. It's going to pass. He's choking up. But then the guard walks down like they do, nice and leisurely. And then he goes, yeah, bring a gurney down here. And so then the guard comes down, and this guard is as big as this guy was, but he's just white. So this guy was like 6.5 feet tall, 300 pounds. And this guard's like 6.5 feet tall, but he's white, and he's like 300 pounds. And so they come in with the gurney. This is like the fastest I've ever seen them come for medical care. And that took still about a minute or two. And when they get into the room, they roll the gurney in there, and the guards grab this dude, kind of shuck him up on the gurney because it's down. And then the guard takes his hand because the guy's like, and the guard starts to strike him in the back like this. And he's saying, breathe, breathe, breathe. Okay. And so at first like this, now I have taken I completely backed away. I'm across the cage. I'm against the other wall watching this. And then the guy's trying to breathe, but he can't breathe. And so the guard is now hitting him in the back, and he's hitting him in the back. And he's saying, breathe, breathe. And he's whacking this guy. And the guy, he's hitting him so hard. The other people in the room are like, oh, ooh, oh. And we can't understand. But the guard is hitting him with the palm of his hand like Boss Rutan would hit you in shoot fighting, just whacking this guy square in the back. And the guy who's coming, he's on, I don't know what a pixie stick is. I don't know what choking up is. I don't know any of these things. I'm watching this happen. And the guard is beating this man. He's hitting him in the back so hard that pretty soon the dude who was choking, he starts saying, okay. He's trying to get the guard to stop hitting him. And then the other guard says, let's take him. And he flips his feet over. They take the gurney and they roll him out. And they shut the door and they lock it. And for me, I'm completely and utterly bewildered. I have no idea what the hell just happened. Number one, why did this guy just stand over me and tell me he's going to kill me when the guards leave? Because he's on PCP. They arrested him on drugs. And they put him in a cell with just regular people who were not on drugs. And then number two, why was he chasing me? And then number three, he starts choking up and I now am his caretaker. Number four, why did the guard beat him like that? I mean, you should have seen it. He's taken the palm of his hand and just palm striking and just palm striking, just palm striking. And he's just sticking it into this dude's back. And this happens on my first day transporting between Twin Towers Jail in LA and the courthouse. First day. So then when they shut the door after all that, the whole room of people, there's like 20 people in this tiny little cell, we're all just kind of shell-shocked. Like, why the hell did that just happen? And then it's like a moment in time just passes and people roll over and go to sleep, and next guy comes in from seeing the judge, and then two people start talking, and then when you come out of that tiny little room, they chain you together with 3 other people and stick you back on that bus, and then you go back into the jail, and then when you go into the jail, they immediately stick you on the wall, and they go through the whole process of making sure you didn't pick up a weapon along the way, and if you don't agree to that, then you will be strip searched. So you just let them do whatever they're going to do. So every time you say, you want someone to go to jail, you sure about that? You sure about that? You been there before? I've got some poison pills that I've had to deal with in my lifetime, and I'm torn sometimes when people do such horrifically bad things to me personally, professionally, to my family, to my friends. I still don't know if I want them to go to jail. I want to make them pay, but I don't know if I want them to go to jail. And if you haven't been to that jail and you haven't seen what the guards do to people in the jail, I'll give you this piece of advice and then I'll end this story. When you go to jail, you shut the front door. You don't say anything. You don't make any friends. You don't talk to anybody. You sit there. You get your milk. You get your packs of peanut butter, whatever you're going to eat. And you don't say anything to anybody. You read. You don't talk. You shut up. You don't say anything. I wonder if that guy would have killed me. If he got a hold of me, he was gigantic. I'm talking gigantic, like NBA big. And he was on, his eyes were totally glassed over. That's the pixie stick that he had smoked. So be careful what you wish for. Because if you call the cops on somebody, if you call the cops to welfare check your kid, if you call the cops because your neighbor pissed you off, remember what you're possibly inviting into your life and into their life. When you call the cops, you could be killing somebody. You might be ruining someone. I don't have nightmares. I sleep like a frickin' baby. As soon as I lay down to go to sleep, doosh, I'm out like a light. I did, though. I did for a long time after the no-knock raid. I did for a long time after spending a week in Twin Towers, that they were taking me back there again. Lots of dreams like that. You dream that the cops were at the door and that they were trying to get you to come out, and they got the cuffs and that they're going to take you. Like, you got to come, you're going to jail and you're in your house. And this is all a dream. And so you're going, no, I don't want to go to jail. And the cops are like, got the cuffs in his hands. Like, you got to come outside. You're going to jail. And you're like, I didn't do anything. I don't want to go back to jail. And they're like, you got to come right now. And they got the cuffs, and you're going through like this, you wake up. Oh man, I woke up and just, you name it, cold sweat, hot sweat, no sweat, insomnia, can't go back to sleep. I've had all those dreams. So it's like that guy called the cops on his son who was schizophrenic. So the question is, do you want your son on earth anymore? If you want your son on earth, then you shouldn't call the cops. You may have to deal with some shit, and you might even get killed by your own son because he's schizo. I'm not making fun of schizophrenia. I have schizophrenia in my family. My uncle was schizophrenic, and I dealt with that. But just be careful when you decide you're going to call 911 or you want to put someone in jail. Just remember what that entails. Just remember that there's no time, 1 second in jail that you ever feel safe. It's miserable. It's horrible. It's atrocious. It's the worst place you've ever been, any day, any time. So, yeah. And this is the reason why I do what I do. And this is the reason why YouTube is doing this with my videos. The reason they're doing this is because they don't want me to win the governorship. If I win the governorship, when I win the governorship, they're killing my videos before they have a chance. And this is on the backup channel. As soon as it gets to 10,000 views on the backup channel. So there's 9.6 thousand views on that one, 9.3 thousand views on that one. I wonder if they put a filter, 10.6 thousand views on that one. So that's when the filter, and look how hard that where they just stopped the growth on that one. That one was going straight airborne, and they just stopped it. Look at that. They just stopped it. Your views are 2.3 times higher. Because you can't buy me off. I don't want your special interest money. I'm not interested in it. There's nothing you're going to do that's going to change watching that guy choke up, watching him choke up and get his mucus and spit all over my body, my hands, my face as he's choking and spitting in my face, where just 10 seconds earlier, I was petrified and afraid he was going to kill me. You can't change me. I'm already been changed. I've already made lots of money and made no money. I've been broke and done very well in life. There's no amount of stuff or things or promises or vacations that you're going to be able to promise me that's going to make me not want to change the policy that we have a torture chair in every jail in America, that there's no clocks on any of the walls, that police have DUI parties to see competitions to see who can get the most DUIs in a weekend, that there are bonuses and promotions and accolades from third parties that will incentivize police to get the most DUIs arrests this weekend, this week, this month. You're not going to be able to change me. And that's the reason why they don't want me to get into power. That's why they're stopping any kind of growth that I can have, because you can't buy me off. The only way you could stop me is if you kill me. And that's a process, and they don't want to just kill me. Well, who knows? Maybe they do. I don't know. But I'm going to run for governor, and I'm going to win, and I'm going to change this bullshit from the top down. I promise you. I give you my word. Drop these down to 20. Drop these down to 20. If you guys want to get a hoodie before Christmas, get your hoodie order in. James, those shipped, right? Yep. So we just shipped the hoodies out. There's going to be, I'll get one more batch out tomorrow. Hopefully they get to you before Christmas. And I hope they get to you before Christmas, but these hoodies are absolutely badass. Pistol P Rex is in here. What's going on, P Rex? What is going on, my friend? It's good to see you. Jungle is massive. What's going on, my friend? Nice to see you. Chevy was here. Dave Hall is here. Gloria is here. What is going on, everybody? How is everybody? Clown Patrol. Mark Bear is here. What is going on? Sean, how are you? OTVO. Do me a favor. Top that in the comment section for me real fast. Just put OTVO. Overturn Terry versus Ohio. Dr. Donna Walter is here. Nice to see you. Michael is here. How you doing, Michael? And I see you. Wyatt. Good to see you. Your sweatshirt is shipped, Wyatt. Glad you got one, man. That's super awesome. Aaron is here. KT, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Greg, I'm sure, is always here. I'm sure Mikey is around somewhere. I haven't looked at any comments yet today. Mr. Waldo Baldo, what's going on, amigo? Adam, how are you? It's nice to see you, my friend. James, always nice to see you. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Say they want to stop us. Look, I'm obviously campaigning against Trump because of the things that he's saying, but look, at the end of the day, until we get to that position of power, we have to stay as unified as we can. I'm one person. I'm not going to vote for Trump or Biden. I'm going to vote for Bobby Kennedy, but don't let them divide us. Don't let them break us up, Soy Leal. Don't let us do it. Citizen Cooperative. The Citizens Broadcasting Cooperative. What is going on? Oh, that's right. That reminds me. Shoot me an email, my Canadian friend. Whoosh. Shoot me an email about your sweatshirt for Canada. I know you wanted me to, because you can't order a sweatshirt through my website that goes to Canada because there's a special process for international shipping. So shoot me an email with your address and stuff. I'll go down and I'll put the sweatshirt in the mail. I'll send you the receipt for the shipping. Okay. Gloria. Yeah, we have to stay together. And I'm not going to listen. You're welcome to vote for the dumpster fire, but that you're voting against our interests. To my buddy Carl, he's not going to change his position on cops, Carl. It's my job to change your position on him. There is a third-party candidate running named Bobby Kennedy, and that's who I'm going to vote for. So he's gone too far with indemnifying police and back the blue rallies. It's just gone too much for me. I feel the same way about Biden. So, but Biden's not saying he wants to indemnify police. Brick, nice to see you. Good to see you. Nice to see you. KJ, nice to see you. I know it. KJ Kea. KJ Keys, the police in Louisiana are atrocious. But listen, you know, I'm going to leave the prices down low for Christmas because, you know, it's not a great big profit margin for what I do. But after Christmas, I'm going to raise these prices back up a little bit. Probably put this back to 15. Right now, I got it for $8, and I'll probably put the trifold back at 25 after Christmas. So I got it down just for the holidays because, you know, you don't always need to make the most profit, you know. So I dropped the trifold down to $20. If you get 3, I'll give you 4. And I dropped the cop cards down to $8. And there's only one shipping charge. It's only $5 on all things. So, you know, and then you also get 4 block rewad rubber bands if you get 4, which I wear this around my wrist. And Jungle is massive. Nice to see you, my friend. Good to see everybody. All right, I've been on for 3 hours. I said I was going to get off for 3 hours today. I'm going to get the flock out of here. I think I saw Angry Vet got a sweatshirt. Is that true, Angry Vet? Did you get a sweatshirt? I can't wait. I got to check my yeah, Biden sucks. Biden's terrible. I mean, he just hasn't said he wants to indemnify police and make it so he can't sue them. And so I'm not like, you know, crushing on Biden right now, but he's a pedophile piece of shit, like smelling the kids and touching them and all that weird shit. Just disgusting. Like, don't be touching my kid, Biden, you creeper, you know? And then we're going to find out in January, they're going to release the flight log from Epstein. And we're going to find out that Mr. Trump was on Epstein's plane dozens of times, is what we're going to find out, along with Bill Clinton, along with a lot of powerful people. Well, if those names don't get redacted, wouldn't that be funny? All right, enough of this. We're just going in a terrible circle of every single leader in our country is bad. Every single, put a 1 in the chat if you agree. 99% of people in leadership in our country are bad. 99% of the people in our government are bad. They're bad people. I mean, do you agree with that? I mean, is that a fair thing to say? I mean, I'm just wondering because it seems to me like 99% of people are bad in this country who are in leadership. It seems like, you know, I'm going to vote for Bobby Kennedy, like fingers crossed. He's not going to end up being a total fraud, but it's like, thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, you're with me. Yep. I'm not going to. And then do you guys know anybody? I don't want to say anything like that because my email will get slammed, but I want to, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to do a giveaway again. I'm going to do a giveaway tomorrow. Make sure you guys know tomorrow I'm going to give away 10 trifolds tomorrow. Tomorrow on my live stream, I'm going to give away 10 trifolds to people for Christmas. So tomorrow's live stream will have 10. I'm going to give away 10 trifolds tomorrow on the live stream for Christmas. That's what I'm going to do. All right, listen, I'm going to get the flock out of here. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I really appreciate it. I'm just at a loss for words. I can't understand what's happening in this country right now. I'm really confused. I'm confused with people. I don't understand. Tomorrow, 10 trifolds. 10 trifolds. I'll give away 10 trifolds tomorrow. So make sure you guys come to my live stream. Love you guys. Thanks for coming. I'll see you on the next one. Later, Gators.